Chapter 948. After leaving the Hall of Experience, Xianxia set off once again. This time, the difficulty of the mission is 10 times higher than before, but the rewards are also very generous. Xianxia's eyes flickered. After completing the Hall of Experience's mission, one could obtain 2,000 blood rocks and the corpses of those blood rock spiders. However, the mission system's reward was a large amount of super devour crystals, enough for Xianxia's sword comprehension pellet. Not only that, after this mission the corpses of the blood rock spiders should be enough for one Beast King rampage. The sacred beast souls of those blood rock spiders had all been devoured by Xianxia, and his cultivation had increased by a lot. At the same time, one should not forget that the beast god bloodline had an advancement path of devouring benefits. Currently at level 5, as long as one devoured corpses or sacred beast souls, their benefits would increase by 50%. Xianxia estimated that if all the corpses were given to him this time, he would be able to break through to level 3 human body disaster. The mission this time was relatively far away, so Xianxia spent more than 4 hours to arrive. After seeing Xianxia, the deacon guarding the blood rock mine said in astonishment, Why is it only level 2 human body disaster? Xianxia had long expected the deacon to be puzzled by his realm, but he was too lazy to explain and directly handed the mission order over. You dare to accept the most difficult of the 3-star missions. It seems you have some ability. The deacon squinted his eyes and nodded slightly. Speaking of which, the people of the Holy Land had a different vision. If it was on the Blood Rock continent, most people would look at Xianxia with mocking gazes before mocking him. Idiot, to accept a mission with a mere 2nd level of fleshly body disaster, you really overestimate yourself. Hurry up and scram. However, the deacon did not say that. After all, there were countless geniuses in the Holy Land. There were even supreme being geniuses who comprehended sword force, so what was this? Alright, I will open the array. You can go. The mission time is 1.5 days. The deacon directly opened the array, and Xianxia entered. After entering, Xianxia quickly descended as before, and the red light instantly engulfed his body. This time the blood rock mine was much larger than before. After Xianxia landed, he only sensed 100 blood rock spiders. However, among these 100, there was a blood rock spider at 2nd grade human body disaster. First clone Wei Zhentian. Xianxia quickly summoned his clone and Wei Zhentian. After Wei Zhentian appeared, he quickly changed. This time he actually turned into a small fighter jet. He sure has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Xianxia grumbled in his heart as he dashed out. This mission was the most difficult of the 3-star missions, but Xianxia didn't think much of it. Cold Sky Slash. Xianxia could easily kill one or several bloodstone spiders with a single slash of his sword. Ding. The proficiency of Cold Sky Slash has increased. Current proficiency is at 70%. Ding. Cold Sky Slash's proficiency level has increased. It is now at 80%. Ding. Cold Sky Slash's proficiency level has increased. It is now at 90%. 10 minutes later, Xianxia's Cold Sky Slash had reached 90% proficiency. At the same time, his main body had killed nearly 500 blood rock spiders. However, almost all of them were 1st grade human body disaster blood rock spiders. The following path would be much more dangerous because they were all 2nd grade human body disaster blood rock spiders. There might even be 3rd grade human body disaster blood rock spiders. Cold Sky Slash. Cold Sky Slash. Cold Sky Slash. Xianxia kept killing the blood rock spiders. He estimated that in another 5 minutes he would be able to clear out the entire blood rock mine. It had to be said that exchanging for the divine tree of life was a wise choice. Cold Sky Slash. Pung. A 3rd grade human body disaster blood rock spider was sent flying by Xianxia. In the depths of the blood rock mine, there were practically 3rd grade human body disaster blood rock spiders. The defensive power of the blood rock spiders was already astonishing, so Xianxia's Cold Sky Slash was unable to kill them in one go. After all, he only had an ordinary supreme spiritual treasure. Helpless, Xianxia could only use his trump card. Eye of Nirvana. Eye of Dissection. Xianxia used both of his ultimate moves, but in terms of effect, the Eye of Dissection was even more powerful than the Eye of Nirvana. A 3rd grade human body disaster blood rock spider only needed a single use of the Eye of Dissection to completely disintegrate its body, leaving behind only a sacred beast soul. *CK I forgot. Xianxia cursed inwardly. He was going to collect the corpses. If he disintegrated the corpses, what was the point of collecting them? Therefore he could only use the Eye of Nirvana to harvest them. Fortunately, he had already exchanged for the 3rd grade of the Divine Eye chapter. The upper limit of his eye power and the recovery speed of his eye power had increased by a lot. It would not be a problem for him to deal with all the blood rock spiders in the mine. However, at this moment, what a big one. Could it be the blood rock spider king? Yi Xian's eyebrows suddenly jumped as he thought to himself. The blood rock sect's estimates were not necessarily accurate. This meant that he had an additional source of income. Immediately, he rushed in the direction of the blood rock spider king. When he saw the huge blood rock spider, he was certain that this was the blood rock spider king, which was comparable to a fourth-grade human body disaster. The blood rock spider king's realm was not fixed. It was possible for a blood rock spider to give birth to a king. At the same time, this king would be stronger than other blood rock spiders of the same level. Even if a fourth-grade human body disaster blood rock sect disciple was here, he might not be able to break through its defenses and might even be devoured. At this moment, the blood rock spider king pounced at Yi Xian. Cold Sky Slash. Yi Xian slashed out with his sword, but unexpectedly he was unable to break through the blood rock spider king's defenses. Since he could not break through, he would use his trump card. Eye of Nirvana. A silver light flashed. Pung. A rumbling sound echoed throughout the mine. The blood rock spider king could not block this attack and was sent flying. What a strong defense. I actually only managed to shatter its shell. Yi Xian was a little surprised. However, the Eye of Nirvana was not his strongest attack at this moment. When he discovered the blood rock spider king, he had already sent his doppelganger and Wei Zhentian over. The blood rock spider king stabilized its body and immediately charged at Yi Xian. Eye of Nirvana. Eye of Nirvana. Yi Xian used the Eye of Nirvana twice and sent it flying again. At the same time, his doppelganger and Wei Zhentian also arrived. Merge. The two Yi Xian flashed and merged into one. His strength instantly increased by 30%. At the same time, Wei Zhentian turned into the sky-shaking sword. However, he had wasted 10,000 swords in the previous mine. Chapter 949. Cold Sky Slash. Eye of Nirvana. After merging, Yi Xian's strength increased sharply. With the addition of the Sky-Quake sword, his attacks were able to break through the defense. Not only that, but the Eye of Nirvana, which had increased its power by 30%, caused the Bloodstone Spider King to hiss. In less than 10 seconds, the Bloodstone Spider King fell to the ground, its magma-like blood flowing all over the ground. At the same time, Yi Xian's eye power was also depleted. It's finally settled. If I didn't have the Sky-Quake sword, it would have been difficult to deal with it. Yi Xian sighed in relief. He had used all his eye power to use the Eye of Nirvana, so he was still unable to kill the Bloodstone Spider King. Fortunately, he had the Sky-Quake sword, which allowed Yi Xian's attack to barely break through its defense. After the Bloodstone Spider King died, Yi Xian walked over and collected its corpse. Then he directly devoured the sacred beast's soul. Ding. Host has broken through. Current level is 3rd grade human body disaster. The long-awaited system notification finally rang out. The value of this sacred beast soul at 4th grade human body disaster was probably higher than all the bloodstone spiders in the mine added together. Now he could already use the sword comprehension pill. However, he still had to clean up the entire mine first. Ding. Host has completed the Bloodstone Mine quest. The reward for this quest was a large amount of super devouring crystals, but Yi Xian had already exchanged them for the sword comprehension pill. There was still some time before the quest was completed, so Yi Xian simply sat down cross-legged. Not only that, but his second doppelganger in the eastern continent also did the same. He had already recorded the sword-shaped stone, so his second doppelganger was constantly comprehending it. Now, with 3 doppelganger comprehending at the same time and 1 sword comprehension pill, he might be able to comprehend sword force. As for Wei Zhentian, he went to mine the bloodstone spiders by himself. After all, he relied on ores to level up. Time passed bit by bit. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, Yi Xian sat there for 7 hours. The sword comprehension pill could allow him to comprehend sword force faster. But don't forget that there was a connection between his original body and his 2 doppelganger. This sword comprehension pill was equivalent to having 3 times the effect. Finally, at the 8th hour. Ding. The 95% sword intent has transformed into 100% sword intent. The host has comprehended sword force. The host is now at nuance stage. The system notification sounded. After hearing this notification, Yi Xian couldn't help but tremble. He actually comprehended it? He did not expect that a single sword comprehension pill would allow him to comprehend sword force. Originally, he did not hold much hope and had only exchanged for 1 pill to try. He estimated that he would need to exchange for at least a few dozen of them and use them consecutively before he could comprehend the sword force. Who would have thought that a single pill would be enough? Right, the original body and the two doppelgangers also have an effect. My one sword comprehension pill is equivalent to 3 pills. No, it shouldn't be 3 pills but 3 times the effect. Yi Xian raised an eyebrow. One sword comprehension pill lasted for 12 hours. Previously he thought that if he took one, it would be equivalent to 36 hours of comprehension. But now it seemed that the effect had increased by 3 times and not the duration. This was the same as the Sword God Bloodline's comprehension of sword skills. With an increase of 10%, the comprehension ability would be several times greater than before. Haha, the Gemini bloodline is really awesome. Yi Xian couldn't help but laugh loudly. Comprehending nuanced stage sword force at 3rd grade human body disaster. Even if he only used a tree branch now, his realm would still be at 2nd grade human body disaster. He would probably be able to kill that blood rock spider king just now. He immediately stood up, took out an ordinary supreme divine weapon, and lightly slashed at the stone wall in front of him. This slash didn't use anything, just a pure attack of true chi. Shio. The sword chi entered the stone wall, instantly creating a 100-meter deep crack. The current me should be able to instantly kill a 5th grade human body disaster expert. Even a 6th grade human body disaster expert wouldn't dare to be careless when facing this slash. Yi Xian thought inwardly. Of course, if he were to use martial arts and heaven-shaking sword, even a 6th grade human body disaster expert wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from him. However, after learning sword force he needed to know how to conceal it. After all, this was a trump card. Comprehending nuanced stage sword force at 3rd grade human body disaster. This has never happened in the entire history of the Blood Rock sect, right? Yi Xian's confidence suddenly exploded, but he didn't want to reveal it, because there were many people in this world who were envious of him. It was inevitable that there would be a few people with extremely twisted minds. If he were to be envied by some expert, then he would have died unjustly. Therefore, unless absolutely necessary, it was best not to reveal sword force. There was still half a day left for the mission, but Yi Xian didn't want to continue staying down there, so he directly returned to the cave entrance. Coming out to recover? The deacon on guard asked in astonishment. No, Lord Deacon, I have already exterminated all of the blood rock spiders inside. These are the corpses required for the mission. Yi Xian had already placed the required items in a universe ring, and handed it over. What? The deacon took the universe ring in shock. Sure enough, the number was correct. In the universe ring, there were a total of 202nd grade human body disaster and 53rd grade human body disaster blood rock spider corpses. The deacon's eyes lit up, and he looked at Yi Xian with a hint of appreciation. So it was a breakthrough. The deacon discovered that Yi Xian's aura had already reached 3rd grade human body disaster, so he calmed down. However, he still went down to check, and sure enough, there wasn't a single blood rock spider left. Mission complete. This is the proof of the mission. The deacon handed the items to Yi Xian. After thanking him, Yi Xian directly left. After disappearing from the deacon's sight, he directly broke through the void and returned to the Blood Rock sect. Then he headed for the training hall. It had only been half a day since he turned in the last mission, and now he was here to turn in another one. If the people in the training hall were still the same batch from this morning, they would probably be scared to death. Senior brother, I'm here to turn in the mission, Yi Xian said as he handed over the proof of the completion of the mission, which was a token. You again? The Blood Rock sect disciple was shocked. He took the mission token and carefully checked it several times and found that it was real. You really completed it? The Blood Rock sect disciple didn't dare to believe it, and asked with a shocked expression. Junior brother, I just happened to break through, Yi Xian said with a smile. At this time, the Blood Rock sect disciple discovered that Yi Xian had already broken through to 3rd grade human body disaster. Chapter 950. After Yi Xian left, the Blood Rock sect disciple thought about it carefully and muttered, This won't do. There's definitely something strange about this. I have to inform the elders. Completing 2 missions in a single day was too unreal. Yi Xian saw his expression and decided not to accept any missions for the time being. However, not long after he left the training hall, a few people came up to him. Yi Xian saw that these people were not weak and were at least 4th grade human body disaster, so he retreated. However, what he didn't expect was that these people were actually heading straight for them. There were a total of 3 people. You're Yi Xian? A long-haired youth said coldly. Yi Xian was very surprised because he did not have any friends in the Blood Rock sect and only knew Luo Luo. But why would they come for him? That's right. Senior brother, what's the matter? Yi Xian nodded. However, he could already feel the hostility of these three people. These three people probably did not come with good intentions. Seeing Yi Xian admit it, the long-haired youth narrowed his eyes and went straight to the point. What's your relationship with senior sister Luoluo? Luoluo? Hearing this name, Yi Xian was a little surprised. Why should I answer you? Yi Xian retorted. He saw that these three people were here to cause trouble, so he did not have a good expression. How dare you? Before the long-haired youth could speak, one of the people behind him stepped forward, wanting to teach Yi Xian a lesson. However, when he was about to make a move, he remembered the rules of the Blood Rock sect and stopped. You better answer my question. Otherwise, you won't be able to stay in the Blood Rock sect for long. The long-haired youth said with a cold gaze. I'll wait and see. Yi Xian sneered and turned to leave. He already knew why these people were looking for him. Just now, he had talked to Luoluo, and she had said that some senior brothers had been looking for her recently. It seemed that those senior brothers from the inner sect wanted to pursue Luoluo, and the three people in front of him should be the lackeys of some senior brother from the inner sect. You want to leave? The long-haired youth's eyes flickered as he quickly blocked Yi Xian's path. What? You want to fight? Yi Xian did not care at all. Although he was only at the 3rd level of human body disaster, the long-haired youth in front of him was at the 5th level of human body disaster, while the other two were at the 4th level of human body disaster. However, he was not afraid of him at all. If he made a move, the three of them would most likely be instantly killed by him. When the other two saw Yi Xian's fearless expression, they also cast a glance at the long-haired youth. What are you afraid of? Capture him and bring him to senior brother Gua. The long-haired youth shouted. At the thought of having their senior brother Gua backing them up, the other two immediately made their move. They patted Yi Xian's shoulders from both sides, preparing to forcefully take Yi Xian away. However, at this moment, burning eye. Yi Xian's eyes quickly flickered twice as the hands of the two stopped. Immediately after, the two of them were instantly controlled by Yi Xian. They were only a realm higher than Yi Xian, while Yi Xian's Heavenly Eye God clan bloodline had evolved 3 times. In addition to his original bloodline, his bloodline was at the 4th level. He did not even want to move his hands against 2 mere 4th level human body disaster. After the two of them were controlled, they suddenly stopped, turned around and punched at the long-haired youth. What? The long-haired youth was shocked. He did not expect that his 2 lackeys would suddenly attack him. What was going on? Bang! Bang! 2 fists smashed into the long-haired youth's shoulders like 2 meteors, sending him flying. This scene happened too suddenly. Not only did the long-haired youth not expect it, even the surrounding disciples who were watching the show did not expect it. 2 dogs suddenly pounced at their owner. What was going on? The long-haired youth quickly crossed his legs and stabilized his body. At the same time he shouted, What are you doing? Senior brother Zhao, I'm sorry. You don't treat us as humans. We don't want to listen to your orders anymore. The slightly plump disciple said. What did you say? The long-haired youth was momentarily confused. Was this a joke? He had always taken care of his 2 lackeys. When did he not treat them as humans? Correct your errors. Not bad. Yi Xian, who was standing behind him, revealed a faint smile before leaving. The long-haired youth raised his eyebrows and said, Trash. What did you do to them? Senior brother Zhao, what do you mean by that? Yi Xian suddenly revealed an innocent look and asked in return. Did you cultivate a martial art that controls others and control them? Senior brother Zhao angrily shouted. Senior brother Zhao, don't slander me. Even if I did cultivate it, how could I control 2 senior brothers whose realms are higher than mine right under your eyes? Yi Xian's mouth slightly curled. He did not waste any more words and directly turned to leave. You're courting death. Senior brother Zhao could not bear the humiliation and directly rushed toward Yi Xian. Immediately, the other 2 quickly blocked in front of senior brother Zhao. You 2 get out of my way. Senior brother Zhao punched each of them and sent them flying. The first disaster of the 3 sovereign disasters, the mortal body disaster, cultivated the physical body, so the suppression of realms was relatively large. Hearing the whistling sound of the wind, Yi Xian swept his gaze over and discovered that the other 2 had already been sent flying by senior brother Zhao. Senior brother Zhao dared to make a move in the Blood Rock sect because he had the backing of senior brother Guo from the inner sect. However, Yi Xian did not want to cause trouble, but that did not mean that he was afraid of trouble. Since the other party was courting death, he naturally had to teach them a lesson. However, just as he was about to make a move, Stop! An old voice bellowed. Senior brother Zhao's figure trembled as he stopped. Almost everyone in the outer sect was young. This old voice meant that the one who had come was at least a deacon. If it was a deacon he would not be afraid, but if it was an elder, then he would be in for a tragedy. When senior brother Zhao turned his head to look, he saw a white-haired old man in the robes of an elder walking toward him. An elder. He hurriedly breathed a sigh of relief because if this punch landed, it would be hitting the elder's face. This was a challenge to the elder's authority. What are you doing? The elder walked over. Greetings, elder. The surrounding disciples immediately greeted him. Yixian also saw him approach and was somewhat shocked. This was because his eye of perception did not detect where this elder had come from. This meant that this elder's strength was already boundless. The aura he had concealed was similar to that of an ordinary disciple, so Yixian did not detect it. Hearing the elder's words, senior brother Zhao swallowed his saliva and said, reporting to the elder, this person has learned a martial art to control others and has controlled my two junior brothers. They've been controlled? The red-clothed elder raised an eyebrow, then his gaze landed on the two lackeys of senior brother Zhao, but did not find anything strange. Chapter 951. Are you looking for an excuse to cover up the fact that you disregarded the sect's rules and attacked? The red-clothed elder coldly snorted. These two don't show any signs of being controlled. Furthermore, their realms are higher than this brat's. Are you joking with me? I wouldn't dare. Senior brother Zhao hastily shrunk his neck. In truth, he was just casually spouting nonsense. He also felt that it wasn't very reliable. However, his two loyal junior brothers had suddenly turned around and attacked him when he was catching Yixian. This was something that he couldn't understand. You should know the rules for attacking in the sect, right? The red-clothed elder looked at senior brother Zhao. This disciple knows. Senior brother Zhao nodded. According to the Blood Rock sect's rules, anyone who attacked in the sect would have to face the wall for half a year. At this time, the red-clothed elder's gaze fell on Yixian and asked, why didn't you block or dodge his attack just now? This disciple didn't have time. Yixian casually replied. That's not necessarily the case. The red-clothed elder narrowed his eyes and said, this old man is in charge of the training hall. I heard that you completed 2 training missions in a single day. These words gave Yixian a fright. He didn't expect that the red-clothed elder was actually the elder in charge of the training hall. Facing the red-clothed elder's snake-like eyes, he replied, this brat was just lucky. Whether it was a fluke or not, I personally went to check. None of the Blood Rock spiders were left in the number 666 and number 834 Blood Rock mines. The red-clothed elder narrowed his eyes and said, did you personally complete these 2 missions? Yes. Yixian solemnly replied. What a joke. He was the one who completed them. Since it was the truth, what was there to be afraid of? The supervisor of the number 834 Blood Rock mine said that you were only at the 2nd stage of human body disaster when you went in. 8 hours later, you came out at the 3rd stage of human body disaster. Not only did you take care of all the Blood Rock spiders in those 8 hours, you even broke through to the 3rd stage of human body disaster. In my opinion, this is nothing. The red-clothed elder paused for a moment before continuing, but the time you took to complete the 2 missions and the time you took to hand in the mission to the training hall was only a few minutes apart. How did you do it? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were shocked. The time it took to complete the mission, obtain the mission certificate, and return the mission to the training hall was only a few minutes apart. How was this possible? Even if senior brother Zhao went to the nearest number 666 Blood Rock mine, it would take him at least an hour to get there. This is Junior's secret. Yixian knew where he had gone wrong. It was because of the time gap. However, he did not mind. After all, the secret of the Eye of the Void was no big deal. Alright, since it's a secret, I won't ask too much. However, some people suspect that you are faking it, so you have to prove your strength, the red-robed elder continued. How do we prove it? Yixian asked. At this moment, the red-clothed elder's gaze landed on senior brother Zhao again, and he said, you can fight with him, but he can only use his hands, not weapons. Alright. Before senior brother Zhao could say anything, Yixian forcefully replied. Although he was only at the 3rd stage of human body disaster, while senior brother Zhao was at the 5th stage of human body disaster, senior brother Zhao could not use weapons, and could only use his fists and palms, so his attack power was insufficient. You're courting death. When senior brother Zhao saw Yixian immediately reply, he felt very displeased. After all, this meant that he was underestimating him. With a difference of 2 realms, he could even kill him with his fist, so why would he need to use a sword? Since that's the case, let's go to the arena. The red-clothed elder nodded and said, forget it, let's do it here. If you win, you won't have to face the wall. After saying that, he turned to look at Yi Xian and said, "If you can surpass 2 realms and defeat him, I'll reward you with 10,000 blood rocks." 10,000 blood rocks. When this voice entered the ears of the surrounding people, their bodies trembled. Even senior brother Zhao only had a net worth of over 10,000 blood rocks, but the elder was actually giving out 10,000 blood rocks as a reward. No, it wasn't a reward because it was meant for Yi Xian alone. If senior brother Zhao beat Yi Xian, he would be spared from facing the wall for half a year, but if Yi Xian beat him, he would be rewarded with 10,000 blood rocks. This reward was completely unfair. "Bastard, you think you can beat me? I'll make sure you don't get those 10,000 blood rocks." Senior brother Zhao's eyes flashed. At this time, the surrounding disciples all retreated, making space for Yi Xian and senior brother Zhao. Senior brother Zhao clenched his fists. Although he hadn't comprehended fist intent, he had learned a fist technique. Coupled with the suppression of realms, he was confident that he could blast Yi Xian apart with one punch. "Don't just stand there, let's begin," the red-clothed elder urged. "Ha!" As his voice rang out, senior brother Zhao punched out, and a red fist shadow flew towards Yi Xian. Even a 4th-grade human body disaster expert wouldn't dare to be careless with this punch. However, Yi Xian didn't care at all. Cold Sky Slash. The fist shadow and the sword light collided, and a shockwave instantly rolled out. What surprised everyone was that Yi Xian's sword actually defeated senior brother Zhao's attack. Even if he had a supreme spiritual treasure, it couldn't make up for the difference of 2 realms, right? Seeing this, the red-clothed elder's eyes couldn't help but light up, because he could see the power of that sword. "Impossible, you dare to challenge me 2 realms above you, I don't believe it." Senior brother Zhao shouted angrily and his figure flashed. At the same time, Yi Xian also moved, and his speed wasn't any slower than senior brother Zhao's. Boom. 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 The 2's true qis continuously collided. Although there was a difference of 2 realms, Yi Xian had the sword god's bloodline in his body. Moreover, the beast god's bloodline increased his strength by 40%, and his agility by 80%. Even if he didn't use those trump cards, it wouldn't be a problem to get rid of this senior brother Zhao. When the surrounding people saw that Yi Xian and senior brother Zhao were actually fighting to a draw, they were shocked to the point of speechlessness. A 3rd-stage human body disaster was evenly matched with a 5th-stage human body disaster. Was senior brother Zhao too weak, or was Yi Xian too strong? Of course it was Yi Xian who was too strong. The surrounding people weren't fools. They all believed that they didn't have the ability to receive Yi Xian's attack, so Yi Xian's strength was enough to complete one of the most difficult 3-star missions. However, at this moment, ding. Cold Sky Slash's proficiency level has increased. Current proficiency level is 100%. His power has doubled. Suddenly, a system notification rang out, and Yi Xian didn't stop in time, and directly chopped out with a slash. This slash easily defeated senior brother Zhao's fist shadow, and then landed on his body. Chapter 952. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Yi Xian actually succeeded in challenging someone 2 levels above him? In fact, even Yi Xian did not expect his Cold Sky Slash to reach 100% mastery at this time. Only then did he remember that the effects of the sword comprehension pill had yet to wear off, so in just a short while, he had already raised a martial art to 100% mastery. Not only could the sword comprehension pill quickly comprehend sword force, but it could also quickly increase the proficiency of sword-type martial arts. If combined with the sword god's bloodline, the effect would be greatly improved. Not bad, not bad. You've raised 90% mastery to 100% mastery. The red-robed elder praised Yi Xian without even looking at the injured senior brother Zhao. Just now, he had promised that as long as Yi Xian succeeded in challenging someone 2 levels above him, he would give Yi Xian 10,000 bloodstones. A gentleman's words were hard to take back. "Kid, you're not bad. Here are 10,000 bloodstones as a reward." The red-robed elder threw an exquisite red stone over. When everyone saw it, their eyes shone with greed. Mid-grade bloodstone. This piece of mid-grade bloodstone was worth more than 10,000 pieces of low-grade bloodstones. If a piece of mid-grade bloodstone was mixed into a supreme spiritual treasure, its hardness and power would be greatly increased. Yi Xian received the mid-grade bloodstone and moved respectfully. "Thank you for the reward, elder. I've seen your strength. You have the ability to complete 2 cleanup missions in one day." The red-robed elder paused for a moment before continuing, "I want to take you in as an in-name disciple. What do you think?" Boom. When these words were spoken, the surrounding people were so shocked that they could not speak. Senior brother Zhao, who had been sent flying by Yi Xian, clutched his chest and revealed a resentful expression. Even he did not have the qualifications to be taken in as an elder's disciple, so what did Yi Xian do? Although Yi Xian had defeated him, he had restrictions. If he had used a weapon he would have been able to easily kill Yi Xian. So he was not convinced. However, the red-robed elder was questioning him now, so he did not dare to interrupt. Registered disciple? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. If someone wanted to take him in as a personal disciple, he wouldn't agree. But this was just a registered disciple, so it was fine. He had once taken a few people as his master, but other than Mysterious Mountain Master, none of them had a good ending. Zhou Tsang had plotted against him but was killed by him instead. He was almost whipped by him. The 100 Poison Sect's old monster Hong also wanted to take him in as a disciple, but in the end he also died. Elder Han Ming of the Burning Sun Hall had accepted him and Luo Luo as disciples, but he had been killed by a single palm strike from the retired emperor of the Royal Sacred Dynasty. Thus he was a bit of a jinx. Whoever accepted him as a personal disciple would die. However, with Mountain Man Shen Zhong as an example, he felt that it was fine to become a disciple in name. With the support of an elder, he would be able to walk more smoothly in the future. Greetings, Master. Yi Xian hastily cupped his fists and said, All right. My name is Dong Xing and I'm in charge of the Outer Sect's training hall. Although you are only an Outer Sect elder, you still have some status. If anyone dares to provoke you in the future, they will have to think twice. The red-robed elder said with a smile, This old man lives in the training hall. If you have anything you don't understand, you can come and find me. Also, I have a sword-shaped stone. If you want to comprehend it, you can come. Many thanks, Master. Yi Xian said gratefully. Immediately Dong Xing left. The sword-shaped stone didn't mean much to Yi Xian, because he had already comprehended the minute sword force. Of course, if it was a mid-level sword-shaped stone, it would be a different story. A mid-level sword-shaped stone could help a cultivator comprehend the perfect sword force. Then Yi Xian left under the envious gazes of the crowd. As for that senior brother Zhao, he stood up with a gloomy expression. His two lackeys were under Yi Xian's control, so they were gloating. The smile on their faces made senior brother Zhao reveal a vicious expression. Brat, don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you have become an elder's disciple. Senior brother Zhao shouted angrily in his heart and left. Although he was going to face the wall for half a year, he still had to go to the inner sect to inform that senior Gua. Young master, are you all right? Luo Luo asked. Of course I'm fine. I'm very powerful. I was even accepted as an outer sect elder's disciple. Yi Xian replied. Is that so? Young master is really powerful. Oh, those people are too annoying. They are like flies. I'll just stay in my residence and cultivate. In a few days I'll probably break through to second-grade human body disaster. Luo Luo's voice was filled with resentment. Clearly, she couldn't stand those senior brothers who were finding excuses to strike up a conversation with her. Cultivate well. After Yi Xian replied, he returned to his residence. Now that he had become Dong Xing's disciple, no one would question his strength in the future. When the time came, he would be able to complete missions without restrictions. However, those inner sect disciples were troublesome, but he wasn't afraid. If they dared to continue looking for him, he wouldn't mind teaching them a lesson. In the battle just now, he didn't even use the Sky Quake sword. He also didn't use any of his trump cards. If he had used them, senior brother Zhao would have died 100 times. At this time, Wei Zhentian suddenly ran out. You want that mid-grade blood rock, right? Sure, I'll give it to you. Yi Xian generously threw the blood rock to Wei Zhentian. Now that he had broken through to third-grade human body disaster, Wei Zhentian was only at second-grade human body disaster. Moreover, during this period of time, he found that Wei Zhentian was only faster at refining ores. If he were to consume supreme spiritual treasures, he would be extremely slow. Therefore, it was better to just give the ores to Wei Zhentian. After all, there were no ores in the exchange system. Ding. Wei Zhentian leveled up. The system notified. As expected, this mid-grade blood rock allowed Wei Zhentian to break through to third-grade human body disaster. With Wei Zhentian's breakthrough, the power of 10,000 returning to origin would also increase. Yi Xian would also indirectly become stronger. Therefore, Yi Xian couldn't just focus on increasing his own realm. However, not long after Wei Zhentian broke through, a figure suddenly landed in his courtyard. Yi Xian was very surprised. When he opened the door, he saw that it was someone he didn't recognize. It was a youth with sword-like eyebrows, but he was wearing the clothes of Blood Rock Sect's inner sect disciples. You're Yi Xian? The youth with sword-like eyebrows locked his gaze on Yi Xian, looking like a superior. Senior brother, may I ask who you are? Yi Xian cupped his fists and asked. However, he had already guessed the other party's identity in his heart. This person was probably the senior brother Guo that senior brother Zhao mentioned. You beat up my people but you don't even know who I am? The youth with sword-like eyebrows snorted coldly. As expected, Yi Xian could confirm that this youth with sword-like eyebrows was the senior brother Guo. Oh, what is the matter, senior brother Guo? Chapter 953. What's your relationship with junior sister Luo Luo? Senior brother Guo was like senior brother Zhao, going straight to the point. Luo Luo is my younger sister. This time Yi Xian answered. He didn't want anyone else to ask about his relationship with Luo Luo. Junior sister Luo Luo is from the Fox Charm clan, and you're a human. Since you're not blood brothers, then you should stay away. Senior brother Guo kindly reminded him. You don't need to worry about this, senior brother Guo. Yi Xian couldn't be bothered with him and directly closed the door. Bang! Unexpectedly, the door was smashed open by senior brother Guo's palm. You have guts, you dare to ignore me? Senior brother Guo's actions had successfully angered Yi Xian. At that moment, several veins popped out on Yi Xian's forehead. Trash, get the hell away from me, don't force me to kill you. Yi Xian finally couldn't help but curse. Sometimes, if you back down, the other party would take a yard after giving you an inch, so he still had to curse. What did you say? Senior brother Guo seemed to have heard the funniest sentence in his life. Yi Xian actually called him trash and even said that if he didn't scram he would kill him. This was the biggest joke in the world. Ha, a trash of the third layer of human body disaster actually wants to kill me, ha. Senior brother Guo couldn't help but laugh, but in the next moment his face sank. After all, Yi Xian had just cursed him. If this wasn't the Blood Rock sect, he would definitely slap Yi Xian to death. Unfortunately, Yi Xian was now accepted as a disciple of an outer sect elder, which was a bit troublesome. Do you know what realm I'm at? 7th layer of human body disaster. Even if you cultivate for another 10 years, I'm afraid you won't be able to reach this realm. Trash, you're cursing yourself. Senior brother Guo had a mocking expression, and his tone was full of disdain. Indeed, Yi Xian's current realm was too low, but if they really fought, the one to die would definitely be senior brother Guo. 10,000 swords returned to origin, sword force, various bloodlines. These factors were enough to give Yi Xian the strength to kill senior brother Guo. I've already told you. If you dare to look for junior sister Luo Luo again, don't blame me for being heartless. I don't need to do it personally. Senior Guo wasn't prepared to waste his breath with Yi Xian. After leaving behind these words, he floated away. At this moment, Yi Xian really wanted to use the Eye of Decomposition between his legs. Yi Xian spat at his back, then closed the door. Although the door was broken and there was some leakage, it didn't affect anything. However, he still had to find an opportunity to take revenge for the destruction of his sect. On the morning of the second day, another person arrived at his residence. Junior brother. It was a familiar voice. Yi Xian opened his eyes in surprise. He'd heard this voice twice before. It belonged to the Blood Rock sect disciple who'd given him a mission in the Hall of Experience. He quickly walked out and asked, Senior brother, is there something you need? Junior brother, I didn't believe in your strength, so I reported it to the elder. Please forgive me, junior brother, the Blood Rock sect disciple said guiltily. It's fine. Yi Xian smiled faintly. There's one more thing. The elder wants you to see him, the disciple continued. The elder? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. He recalled that he'd been accepted as a nominal disciple by Elder Dong Xing, who was in charge of the Hall of Experience. I understand. Thank you for telling me, senior brother. Yi Xian nodded and headed straight for the Hall of Experience. Dong Xing lived behind the Hall of Experience, so Yi Xian went to find him. Before he entered, he sensed a figure in the courtyard. It's Yi Xian, right? Come in, Dong Xing's voice sounded. Yi Xian pushed open the door and entered. You've become my nominal disciple. This is a protective talisman that I've refined. It can block an attack under true energy disaster and save your life at a critical moment. Dong Xing threw an exquisite talisman to Yi Xian. After Yi Xian received it, he couldn't help but tremble. Blocking an attack under true energy disaster was a good thing. Thank you, master. He thanked sincerely. Recently, the Hall of Experience has updated some missions. There's a Blood Rock Spider tied in a few mines, and there's a Blood Rock Spider King at 6th grade human body disaster. You can go and give it a try. Dong Xing said and threw a scroll over. This mission hasn't been released yet, so it's not just one person doing it. There will be other outer disciples as well. There were already people who went there yesterday. Yi Xian flipped open the scroll and saw that there were roughly 4,000 blood rock spiders in the blood rock mine. Moreover, the weakest of them was at the 3rd level of human body disaster, while the majority of them were at the 4th level of human body disaster. The difficulty of this mission was probably 10 or 20 times that of the previous 3-star mission. Originally, with my realm, I definitely wouldn't be able to take it, but Master made an exception and let me take it. This time, I might be able to break through to 4th grade human body disaster. Yi Xian thought inwardly. 4th grade human body disaster was the minimum, and he might even be able to reach 5th grade human body disaster. After all, there was still a blood rock spider king at 6th grade human body disaster. If you can bring back the corpse of the blood rock spider king, I'll accept you as my direct disciple, Dongxing said again. In fact, Yi Xian didn't want to become a direct disciple, because he had the attribute of restraining his master. However, this blood rock spider king at 6th grade human body disaster was something he had to kill. Okay, I'll go now. Yi Xian nodded and immediately left. This was an extremely rare opportunity. After all, this mission required at least a 6-star mission, and he was only at 3rd grade human body disaster, so he could only accept a 4-star mission at most. That was all. The 6th stage human body disaster Bloodstone Spider King was in Blood Rock Mine number 444. This wasn't a good number, but Yi Xian didn't care about this. This Blood Rock Spider King was very strong, and it was extremely dangerous down there. Therefore, Yi Xian estimated that there would be quite a few 5th grade human body disaster or 6th grade human body disaster disciples coming this time. For the sake of leveling up, he had to make the best use of his time. This mine number 444 was a bit far, so this time, Yi Xian spent more than half a day to arrive. However, at this time there was already a sea of people here. Not waiting for him to approach, someone shouted at him, "Junior brother, you've come at the right time. Our team is still missing one person." Yi Xian swept a glance and found that these people were all going down in groups, with at least 3 people in each group. Chapter 954. F***CK, you're only at the 3rd stage of human body disaster. What the hell are you doing here? Get lost? Hearing this, Yi Xian fiercely glared at him. Burning eye. This kind of person had to be taught a lesson. That person felt as if his heart was being cut by a knife as he cried out in pain. The surrounding people were surprised and went forward to check. What happened to you? His companion asked. I don't know. My heart hurts like it's being burned. That person shook his head. He still didn't know that it was Yi Xian who did it. After all, he was several thousand meters away from Yi Xian. Although he was at the 5th stage of human body disaster, Yi Xian's Heavenly Eye God clan bloodline had evolved 3 times. Adding that to his own bloodline, he was at the 4th stage. Therefore there was still some effect. Yi Xian didn't bother to pay attention to the others and directly walked to the entrance of the huge blood rock mine. At this time there were several attendants standing guard here. The movement below was so great that even the ground was shaking. It's you? One of the attendants noticed Yi Xian. The latter looked over and discovered that it was actually the attendant who had brought him and Luoluo into the sect. Kid, not bad. You were actually accepted as an in-name disciple by Elder Dong and even defeated a 5th stage human body disaster disciple. You have the qualifications to go down. The attendant smiled. Many thanks for Lord Attendant's praise. Yi Xian cupped his fists. Originally there were many people in the surroundings who had doubts about Yi Xian. Why would a 3rd stage human body disaster disciple come here? However, after hearing this, they realized that Yi Xian wasn't someone to be trifled with. An in-name disciple of an outer sect elder had a status that surpassed the majority of outer sect disciples. They couldn't afford to offend him. At this time the attendant spoke again. However, are you alone? Yes. Lord Attendant, please open the formation. Yi Xian nodded. In truth, he was dissatisfied with the title of Lord Attendant. However, this was the rule of the Blood Rock sect. Only those who entered the inner sect could not call him Lord. As soon as this was said, the surrounding people continued to show looks of contempt. Even a 6th stage human body disaster disciple would not dare to go down alone, and Yi Xian was only at the 3rd stage of human body disaster, so this was simply sending himself to his death. It seems that Elder Dongxing has accepted a fool as his in-name disciple. Many people thought so in their hearts and some even whispered it out loud. These words naturally fell into Yi Xian's ears. However, Yi Xian couldn't be bothered with them. He was already half a day late. If he didn't go in now, what would he do if the bloody rock spider was killed? All right. The deacon didn't say much and immediately opened the array. Yi Xian immediately jumped in. The surrounding people also widened their eyes. They did not expect Xian to actually go down. He was courting death. He was really courting death. At this moment Xian had already rushed in and was descending rapidly. The blood rock spiders at the entrance of the mine had been cleared out by the people who had entered before, so Xian did not encounter a single blood rock spider. Papa. Xian landed on the ground and sensed for a moment. There was not a single person in the surroundings, nor was there a single blood rock spider. There were quite a few forks in the road, but it didn't matter. Therefore Xian randomly found a mine tunnel and entered. Rumble. Rumbling sounds continuously resounded in the blood rock mine. These were the sounds of the blood rock sect disciples fighting against the blood rock spiders. This mine was relatively large. Although Xian had lagged behind for half a day, he still encountered several blood rock spiders comparable to third-stage human body disaster. These blood rock spiders were all hacked to death by Xian's sword. My primary goal is to level up, followed by the 6th-stage human body disaster blood rock spider king. If I don't break through, dealing with that blood rock spider king will be somewhat difficult. As Xian thought to himself, he directly summoned his doppelganger and Wei Zhentian to continue the three-way slaughter. In this blood rock mine, 4th-stage human body disaster blood rock spiders were the majority. Only near the nest would 5th-stage human body disaster blood rock spiders appear. Therefore Xian killed while searching for the nest of the blood rock spiders. The Gemini bloodline was a very powerful bloodline. His doppelganger also had the perceptive eye, so Xian was equivalent to having 2 radars. Although there were many blood rock spiders, almost none of them could block Xian's sword, even if Xian did not wield Wei Zhentian's sword. Xian had only landed for 3 minutes, but he had already killed nearly 100 blood rock spiders, which was equivalent to over 1,000 from before. Killing monsters above my level is really fast. In less than half an hour I will be able to break through. Xian had a smile on his face. With the beast god bloodline's devouring benefit, devouring the sacred beast's soul allowed him to level up very quickly. He shuttled back and forth in the mine, while at the same time, he avoided the disciples. However, as he continued to go deeper, he could only interact with these disciples. Why is there a 3rd-stage human body disaster disciple? What a joke. The blood rock spider's defense is so hard. Even if it's someone of the same level, it won't be that easy to break through. Coming down here is simply courting death. Ignore him. Even if he dies, it will definitely be the blood rock spider that bit him to death. Let's quickly recover. After each of the disciples ridiculed him, they no longer paid attention to Xian. Xian was too lazy to pay attention to this group of superficial people. He directly passed by them and entered a mine. Immediately, a bloody storm swept through this mine. The few blood rock sect disciples outside the mine were very surprised. One of them went in to investigate and found that the blood rock spiders blocking the way had all disappeared. How is this possible? At this time Xian had already killed his way into the depths. I finally found a nest. Looks like my luck is pretty good. Xian narrowed his eyes. Relying on his eye of perception, he found the blood rock spider's nest right in front of him. Although this mine was occupied, there were still a few blood rock spiders in the mine. Most of them would stay in their nests. Xian killed his way to the entrance of the blood rock spider's nest and directly rushed in. However, this blood rock spider's nest had more forks than the mine. An ordinary disciple would very likely get lost in this place. However, with the eye of perception and the devouring system, Xian was constantly copying a map. As long as the eye of perception swept over a place, the devouring system would automatically create a map, so getting lost was impossible. Not many disciples had killed their way into the nest, so there were a frightening number of blood rock spiders in the nest. There's no one around. Let me see the power of my sword move. Xian held an ordinary supreme spiritual treasure in his hand and directly slashed at the blood rock spider in front of him. Among these blood rock spiders, there was even a 5th-tier human body disaster. However, Xian's sword move could be fused with a subtle level sword move. Whoosh! The sword light flashed and instantly slashed at the first blood rock spider. In an instant it was cut in half. Chapter 955. Just as Xian had expected, the 5th-stage human body disaster bloodstone spider was also killed by him. In the end, the sword beam entered the bloodstone crystal wall, reaching a depth of several dozen meters. 4 4th-stage human body disaster bloodstone spiders and 1 5th-stage human body disaster bloodstone spider were easily killed by Xian. It must be known that even a 4th-stage human body disaster disciple might not necessarily be able to break through the defense of a bloodstone spider of the same level. But the third-stage human body disaster Yi Xian had killed 5 bloodstone spiders with a single sword. This was the power of his sword aura. If I can break through to 4th-stage human body disaster and succeed in my sneak attack, even a 7th-stage human body disaster inner disciple will be killed by me. The corner of Yi Xian's mouth rose slightly, his confidence suddenly rising. It had only been 2 months since he entered the Bloodstone sect, but he had already grown from a service disciple to a genius who could defeat an inner disciple. He would definitely be able to enter the eyes of an inner disciple. At that time he would not lack cultivation resources and would save a lot of time. Thinking of this, he continued to go deeper into the cave. With the support of various bloodlines, Yi Xian's speed was very fast. Even the strongest group in the Bloodstone mine could not compare to him. 100, 200, 300, in the cave, there was a large number of bloodstone spiders, and Yi Xian's battle record was constantly rising. Finally, after he had killed 500 of them, he heard the system's notification. Ding! Host has broken through to 4th stage human body disaster. The system notification said. Now Yi Xian's strength could be said to be the overlord of the outer disciples. No one could block a single sword of his. What he lacked now was his realm, but if he could not hit his opponent, it would be useless no matter how strong his attack power was. Yi Xian continued to go deeper. Since he had already broken through to 4th stage human body disaster, his first target would be the Bloodstone Spider King. A 6th stage human body disaster Bloodstone Spider King was worth more than the sum of all the other Bloodstone spiders. However, he still did not know the location of the Bloodstone Spider King, so he had to find it. Now that he had comprehended sword force, he could pierce through the 2 tunnels with just a few strikes. As long as he could pierce through them, his eye of perception would be able to follow through. There were quite a few 5th stage human body disaster bloodstone spiders in the nest, and Yi Xian was having a great time killing them. Even if he couldn't find the Bloodstone Spider King, Yi Xian would be satisfied. However, just as he was exploring, the entire Blood Rock Spider's nest suddenly shook violently. What happened? Yi Xian was very surprised. This was the biggest commotion he had ever seen. Even the Bloodstone Spider King could not cause such a commotion. Something big. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. It seemed that there was something underground that even the Bloodstone sect elder had not discovered. It seemed that he had to be more careful. He had to reserve some of his eye power to open the void gate. This huge commotion stopped after a while, and Yi Xian continued to go deeper. Not long after that commotion, he found the first batch of disciples that had entered the Blood Rock Spider's nest. The aura of this batch of disciples was not weak. There were 3 6th-stage human body disaster disciples, and 7 5th-stage human body disaster disciples. There are actually 3 6th-stage human body disaster disciples. It seems that they have found the Bloodstone Spider King. Yi Xian guessed in his heart and then rushed over. Someone else is coming. A disciple discovered the sound of footsteps. When he turned his head, he saw Yi Xian walking out of one of the tunnels. However, after seeing Yi Xian, a disciple suddenly cried out in surprise, "It's you?" Yi Xian, who had just walked out of the tunnel, raised his eyebrows. He actually saw a familiar person here. It was senior brother Zhao, who had been sent flying by his sword yesterday. Strange, why is Zhao Yi here? Shouldn't he be facing the wall? Yi Xian was also very surprised. Senior brother Zhao had attacked him yesterday and was stopped by Dong Xing. According to the sect rules, he should be facing the wall for half a year. However, he had appeared in front of Yi Xian today. This could only mean that someone had interceded for him. Hearing Zhao Yi's cry of surprise, a 6th-stage human body disaster disciple asked, "4th-stage human body disaster. Junior brother Zhao, do you know him?" Zhao Yi was also stunned. He did not expect that Yi Xian would break through from 3rd-stage human body disaster to 4th-stage human body disaster in just one day. How was this possible? Senior brother Lian, he is that Yi Xian that senior brother Guo wanted us to kill. Zhao Yi said in a voice that only the two of them could hear. Oh, it's him? When senior brother Lian heard this, a trace of killing intent flashed through his eyes. However, he did not expect that Yi Xian would be able to hear their conversation. Kill? Yi Xian's eyes narrowed slightly. He did not expect that senior brother Guo would be so daring as to directly threaten to kill him. At this time, Yi Xian suddenly remembered that senior brother Guo had said yesterday that if he wanted to kill him, he did not need to personally do it. Good boy, it seems that your background is not small. Since you want to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed by me. Yi Xian had already made a decision in his heart. Zhao Yi walked out and looked at Yi Xian saying, "Trash, I lost to you yesterday because I gave face to Elder Dong. Today there is no one backing you up. As long as you kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times, I can spare your life. While he was speaking, someone had already stealthily circled behind Yi Xian, sealing off his path of retreat. It seemed that today they would not rest until one of them was dead. What if I don't kowtow? You want to kill me? Yi Xian asked curiously. Don't think that the sect rules can restrict everyone. Since you dared to provoke senior brother Gua, even Elder Dong will not be able to save you. I believe that you have already heard that senior brother Gua's master is Elder Yang of the inner sect. Zhao Yi said coldly. In truth, Yi Xian did not know senior brother Gua's background, but when he heard the name Yang, his body trembled. Wasn't that the name of Luo's master? I see, the reason why Zhao Yi is here should be because he has been pardoned by Elder Yang. I don't know if Elder Yang knows about senior brother Gua's actions, or if she has tacitly agreed. Yi Xian's eyes narrowed slightly. However, for now he had to deal with the problem in front of him first. Among the 10 people in front of him, besides Zhao Yi, there were 3 6th-grade human body disaster and 8 5th-grade human body disaster. In the eyes of these people, Yi Xian was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. However, since these people wanted to ignore the sect rules and kill him, there was no need for him to reason with them. There's no one here now, let's get this over with quickly, lest something unexpected happens, senior brother Lien said in a low voice. All right. Hearing this, Zhao Yi immediately took out a weapon. Although he had lost to Yi Xian yesterday, he was not proficient in fist techniques, which was why he had lost. Today he would avenge his humiliation. Kid, if you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck. Zhao Yi roared angrily and rushed toward Yi Xian. With a flick of the long sword in his hand, a sword ray flashed and arrived in front of Yi Xian in the blink of an eye. Chapter 956. Brat, if you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck. Zhao Yi roared angrily and rushed towards Yi Xian. With a flick of his sword, a sword ray flashed and arrived in front of Yi Xian in the blink of an eye. This sword attack was at least 3 times stronger than his fist technique from yesterday. However, Yi Xian was the same as yesterday, calm and collected. Facing this sword attack, he didn't even lift his hand. Eye of Nirvana. Shio. The powerful silver slash instantly crushed Zhao Yi's attack. Zhao Yi was shocked, but before he could react, the silver slash had already sunk into his body, cutting him in half at the waist. This scene shocked the surrounding people. The upper half of Zhao Yi's body fell to the ground. Even he didn't expect that he couldn't even block one of Yi Xian's attacks. What kind of attack was that? Even his senior brother was aghast. He didn't even notice how Yi Xian attacked. Brat, you're courting death. At this time, a 6th-layer human body disaster disciple suddenly roared and rushed towards Yi Xian. Unexpectedly, Yi Xian turned his head and glared at him. Eye of Nirvana. Eye of Dissection. A silver slash pierced through the air and crushed his attack, followed by 2 dissection rays that shot into his chest. In an instant his chest fell down like sand. In less than a second, his heart was dissected into countless tiny particles. The combination of the Eye of Nirvana and the Eye of Dissection was too sinister. Most people would only notice the Eye of Nirvana and not the formless Eye of Dissection. Soon, the internal organs of this 6th-layer human body disaster disciple were completely dissected by the Eye of Dissection. His entire body was empty as if it had been shot by a laser beam. Since he killed him, Yi Xian didn't plan to waste any more words. Since there was no one here, there wouldn't be a 12th person who would know. Therefore Yi Xian was too lazy to use the Eye of Control. Shio. That senior brother Lien and the other 6th-grade human body disaster expert were scared half to death as they roared, "Quick, kill him!" Only at this moment did he realize what kind of enemy he had provoked. That was a super genius who could instantly kill a 6th-level human body disaster. If they did not kill Yi Xian today, they would be the ones to die. However, right at this moment, rumble. The entire Blood Rock mine shook violently again. This was the 2nd time. But Yi Xian didn't care so much. He had to kill all these people first. Die. Yi Xian's eyes flashed. He raised his hand and slashed out. This slash was infused with sword force. It was enough to kill senior brother Lien. However, at this moment, boom. The ceiling suddenly exploded, and then a huge object smashed into the ground, forcibly blocking the sword. Bang. When the cold sky slash landed on this massive creature, it was only barely able to break through its defenses. How is this possible? Yi Xian was shocked. His attack was enough to instantly kill a 7th-grade human body disaster expert. Why couldn't it break through its defenses? He focused his eyes and discovered that this massive creature seemed to be a leg embedded with blood rock. And under this leg there was a corpse. It was Zhao Yi who had been cut in half by Yi Xian's Eye of Nirvana. Being stepped on by this leg, Zhao Yi instantly died tragically. Before the crowd could react, the ceiling began to crack and rocks continuously fell. Not good, this place is going to collapse. Yi Xian's expression changed greatly. Although he didn't know what this damn thing was, he understood that this damn thing was definitely very powerful. Most importantly, senior brother Lien and the others were blocked by this leg, so he couldn't kill them. Rumble. Huge rocks continuously fell from the ceiling. This blood rock mine was of a higher grade, so the blood rock crystal wall was very hard. Even senior brother Lien couldn't cut it in half. Therefore, senior brother Lien and the others quickly rushed into the mine. Damn it! Yi Xian cursed angrily. He was prepared to kill senior brother Lien and the others, but who knew that this leg would suddenly step on them, disrupting his plan. Just as he was about to explode in anger, a system notification sounded. Ding. Host has triggered a random mission. Kill the blood rock giant. Completion will result in 1 devour point. This system notification made Yi Xian, who was about to leave, stop in his tracks. A random mission. Why would it appear at this time? When this huge leg stepped on them, Yi Xian guessed that this was a giant. But even he, who had comprehended sword force, could only barely break through this blood rock giant's defense. How could he kill this blood rock giant? He would think about this problem later. Megatron. Yi Xian didn't care too much. He directly summoned Megatron and attacked the giant leg that was at least 10 meters in diameter. Full mastery of Cold Sky / microscopic sword force and sword god bloodline. Bang. This time the attack was much stronger than before, but it could only penetrate 1 or 2 meters. What a strong defense. Yi Xian swallowed his saliva. It seemed that devour points weren't that easy to obtain. However, he still had an ultimate move, which was ancestral converging swords. But this wasn't a suitable place to use it. Moreover, this blood rock giant only revealed half of its calf. Why would he use his ultimate move to cut off its leg? Crack. At this moment, the blood rock giant suddenly raised its leg and was about to climb up. Yi Xian quickly continued attacking. He didn't bother to chase after senior brother Lien and the others. After all, they had scattered and escaped, so it wasn't easy to chase after them. Devour points were more important. This blood rock giant was probably sleeping in this blood rock mine. However, when the disciples of the blood rock sect came in to kill the blood rock spiders, the commotion woke it up. The commotion just now was probably caused by this blood rock giant. Yi Xian followed behind this blood rock giant and kept attacking. But what made him feel helpless was that this blood rock giant ignored him. The blood rock giant climbed very quickly. In less than 10 seconds, it had climbed out of the mine. Yi Xian also followed it to the surface. With a glance, he realized that there was quite a distance between them and the entrance of the mine. Roar! At this moment, the 40 to 50 meter tall blood rock giant suddenly raised its leg and fiercely stomped on Yi Xian. It turned out that it wasn't ignoring Yi Xian just now. Instead, it was preparing to deal with Yi Xian after it came out. Bang! Fortunately, Yi Xian reacted quickly and dodged the kick. With his physique, he couldn't withstand this attack. If he were to be stomped on, both his main body and avatar would probably die. He estimated that this blood rock giant was at least at the 8th grade human body disaster realm. In addition, its defense was already shocking. Therefore, Yi Xian, who had comprehended sword force, could only barely break through its defense. Chapter 957. But now, it seemed that it was too exaggerated. It was easy for him to challenge those of a higher level after comprehending the sword force, but he could not do whatever he wanted. After all, no matter how strong his attack was, it was useless if he could not hit his opponent. There's such a big commotion here. I have to end this quickly. Yi Xian thought to himself. In the next moment he threw out the Skyquake sword. Ancestral swords. The heaven-shaking sword instantly split into hundreds of sword shadows and attacked the bloody stone giant's head under his control. The ancestral swords was already very powerful. In addition, Yi Xian had comprehended the sword force, so he easily cut off the bloody stone giant's head. Such power. I've got the devouring point. After seeing this scene, the corners of Yi Xian's mouth slightly curled up. However, the notification he expected didn't sound out. That was because the bloody stone giant could still move. Bam! It stomped down again. Yi Xian hurriedly dodged it. Its head exploded, but it's still alive. Is its heart its weak point? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and hurriedly controlled the hundreds of sky quake swords to attack the bloody stone giant's heart. However, at this moment, bam! The crimson rock giant suddenly exploded, turning into countless red rocks that shot out. What? Yi Xian was shocked. Why did it self-destruct like the green source giant in the Tianshui continent? However, with the eye of perception and the eye of revelation he found something strange. That thing flew far away after being hit by a strong impact. Yi Xian immediately chased after it. He saw that it was a small red giant, which was probably the Crimson Stone Giant's weak point. In other words, the Bloody Stone Giant was just a set of armor, and the small red giant was just wearing a set of armor. It was because it was wearing this set of armor that the defense of the armor was so powerful. The small red giant flew very fast. Even though Yi Xian reacted quickly, he was still far away from it. Not only that, Wei Zhentian also sent some information to Yi Xian. As expected, the small red giant is the core. It's the real Bloody Stone Giant. Yi Xian was certain. Wei Zhentian was an earth monarch, so he had a special sense for ores. Therefore, as long as the Crimson Rock Giant was not too far away from Yi Xian, Wei Zhentian would be able to find it. Soon, the Crimson Rock Giant left Yi Xian's field of vision. Even the eye of perception could no longer detect it. Fortunately, Wei Zhentian could still do it. He transformed into a flying boat and carried Yi Xian in pursuit. This time Yi Xian's luck was off the charts. Not only did he receive a random mission, but if he managed to kill the Crimson Rock Giant, Wei Zhentian might be able to break through as well. Therefore he was determined to get the Bloody Stone Giant. Although the Crimson Rock Giant was nowhere to be seen, it would eventually land on the ground. Wei Zhentian carried Yi Xian for an entire 10 minutes before finally landing on the ground. What's going on? Is it around here? Yi Xian asked. However, when Yi Xian understood Wei Zhentian's intention, he said helplessly, "What? You lost it?" The Crimson Rock Giant was related to the Devouring Point. If he did not complete the random mission, the Devouring Point would go to waste. No, find it. You must find it. Yi Xian immediately summoned his clone and began a carpet search. He was going all out for the Devouring Point. After all, he had let senior brother Lien and the others go. If he did not complete the random mission, he would lose out. Therefore he had to find the Crimson Rock Giant, even if it took him an entire day. His main body, clone, and Wei Zhentian searched together, but they did not know when they would find it. However, even Wei Zhentian had lost his sense of it, so it was very difficult to find it. I can't let one Devouring Point go to waste like this. Yi Xian wasn't willing to give up. He started a carpet search which lasted for an entire half an hour. However, just as he was about to give up, "Little Tian, you found it?" Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. After receiving Wei Zhentian's answer, he quickly flew over. "You really found it?" Immediately, he and his clone hurried over. Half a minute later, Wei Zhentian had turned into a bird and was standing on a branch. When he saw Yi Xian, he immediately flapped his wings and flew toward the mountain. "You're saying that the Crimson Rock Giant is in this mountain range?" Yi Xian asked. Wei Zhentian nodded solemnly. "Alright, let's go in." Yi Xian immediately transformed Wei Zhentian into the Sky Shocker Sword and walked in. The mountain range was very big and there were some Supreme Saint Beasts. However, they were not a threat to Yi Xian. With Wei Zhentian leading the way, Yi Xian really found the Crimson Rock Giant. At that moment, the Crimson Rock Giant had shrunk into a huge rock. If it was not for its bright color, no one would have noticed it. So it was hiding here. "You're courting death." Yi Xian immediately summoned his clone and slashed at the huge rock. Bang! Bang! The attacks of Yi Xian's original body and clone landed on the red boulder at the same time. In an instant, the red boulder was blasted apart. What? Upon seeing this, Yi Xian was shocked. He realized that the huge red rock was nothing. It was not the Crimson Rock Giant. Not good. Yi Xian's face suddenly darkened. When the huge red rock exploded, Yi Xian was shocked. Suddenly, a red figure drilled out from under the huge red rock and charged toward Yi Xian. The red figure was not much different from a human, but his speed was extraordinarily fast. He was at least a 7th grade human body disaster. This scene happened so suddenly that Yi Xian could not react in time. If he was hit by the red figure's fist, even he would die. Since he had already used the 10,000 ancestral swords, he could not use the spiritual sword array. Fortunately, Yi Xian still had a life-saving method. Protective medallion. Yi Xian flipped his left hand and a medallion suddenly appeared in it. It was the protective medallion that his master, Dong Xing, had given him to protect his life. He quickly infused his true energy into it. In the next moment, the protective medallion shone brightly, forming a true energy shield that enveloped Yi Xian. Bang! The red figure's fist landed on the true energy shield. This punch was enough to shatter the head of a martial artist below 7th grade human body disaster. However, this protective medallion could withstand attacks below true energy disaster, so it was not a problem. That was close. So that huge rock was also an armor. It was a trick to attract my attention. Yixian swallowed his saliva. Fortunately, he had the protective medallion this time. Otherwise, it would have been a tragedy. His original body might have died. You dare to sneak attack me? Die. Chapter 958. Cold Sky / Eye of Nirvana. Eye of Nirvana. All 4 attacks landed on the Crimson Rock Giant, shattering it in an instant. Ding. Host has completed the mission of killing the Crimson Rock Giant. 1 devour point has been obtained. The system notification finally rang out. Yixian could now confirm that the Crimson Rock Giant was dead. At this time, Wei Jintian reverted to his true form and went over to devour the Crimson Rock Giant's shattered body. The huge armor outside the mine and the boulder that Yixian had shattered were only the Crimson Rock Giant's armor, so they weren't worth much. The shattered body was the Crimson Rock Giant's body. After Wei Jintian devoured all the red fragments, Yixian heard another notification, ding. Wei Jintian broke through. Now Wei Jintian was at 4th grade human body disaster, but Yixian felt that it wasn't over yet. Wei Jintian's refining speed was fast, but it wasn't fast enough to refine such a powerful ore in a few breaths' time. Sure enough, in less than a minute the system notification rang out again. Ding. Wei Jintian broke through. 5th grade human body disaster. After Wei Jintian devoured the Crimson Rock Giant, his strength increased by 2 times, reaching 5th grade human body disaster. But it wasn't over yet. Ding. Wei Jintian broke through. The 3rd system notification rang out, and Wei Jintian broke through to 6th grade human body disaster. You really earned big this time. Yixian looked at the excited Wei Jintian and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Of course this time he also gained a single devour point. He didn't let senior brother Lien and the others go in vain to chase after the Crimson Rock Giant. Although his realm didn't increase, Wei Jintian jumped 3 levels, 2 levels higher than Yixian, so Yixian's strength increased by 2 to 3 times. Let's go back and take a look. After thinking carefully, Yixian decided to return to the Crimson Rock Mine. After all, there might still be a Crimson Rock Spider King there. As for senior brother Lien, it was very likely that he ran back to the Crimson Rock sect to complain. In any case, they made the first move. This was what Yixian thought. After all, he was the victim. He immediately rushed towards the Blood Rock Mine. When he returned to the large hole that the Blood Rock Giant had created, he found that there was no one there. What's going on? Where did everyone go? Did they all run away? Yixian thought in surprise. However, this was still acceptable. After all, before the Crimson Stone Giant exploded, its attack power was astonishing. It could definitely stomp a 6th-stage human body disaster cultivator to death with a single stomp. If they didn't run, would they be courting death? Furthermore, the strength of the explosion was enough to crush the majority of the disciples to death. Yixian was too lazy to look for the other disciples. He directly drilled into the burrow. His target this time was the Bloodstone Spider King. There weren't many people left in the Blood Rock Mine. After all, they didn't know if there were more Blood Rock Giants down there. Yixian walked around the Blood Rock Spider nest for a while and finally found the largest Blood Rock Spider. It seemed to be the Blood Rock Spider King. Mighty Might is now a 6th grade 1st stage supreme spiritual treasure. Coupled with the sword aura, it can definitely injure this Blood Rock Spider King. Yixian narrowed his eyes. He quickly turned around and attacked the Blood Rock Spider King. At this moment he was fusing with his doppelganger. After all, this could increase his strength by 30%. Shio. An ice-cold sword ray slashed at the Blood Rock Spider King. In an instant, the Blood Rock Spider King hissed. Turbid and scarlet blood flowed out. As the Blood Rock Spider King moved, blood splattered everywhere. Originally, Yixian wanted to see the Blood Rock Spider King and use myriad returning swords to kill it. However, it didn't seem to be necessary now. Cold Sky / Eye of Nirvana. In any case, there were no other threats in the Blood Rock Mine. Yixian wasn't afraid. After a few rounds, the Blood Rock Spider King was killed by him. At this moment, he quickly swept over and stored the corpse. Devour. The sacred beast soul of a 6th grade human body disaster was comparable to all the Blood Rock spiders in the Blood Rock Mine. After Yixian devoured it, his cultivation increased by a lot. However, he didn't hear the system's notification. Still not enough. Yixian narrowed his eyes. His figure flashed and left. There were still many Blood Rock spiders in the Blood Rock Mine. If he cleaned them all up, it might be enough. Indeed, there wasn't a single person in the Blood Rock Mine. Therefore, these Blood Rock spiders were all taken advantage of by Yixian. After he cleaned up the entire Blood Rock Mine, he heard the system's notification. Ding. Host has broken through. Host is currently at 5th grade human body disaster. After Yi Xian heard the notification, he breathed a sigh of relief. He had finally broken through to 5th grade human body disaster. Although his realm hadn't reached the standard of inner disciples, his strength was close to the top among the disciples. There weren't many people under true energy disaster who could withstand 10,000 swords return to origin. After that, Yi Xian left the mine. However, there was a formation here, so he directly broke through the void. When he passed through the void, he was already back at the Blood Rock sect. As for the others, they were probably still on their way. I can't let that senior brother Lien complain first. After thinking about it, Yi Xian walked directly to the training hall. Previously, Dong Xing had told him that if he obtained the Blood Rock Spider King's corpse, he would accept him as his disciple. However, Yi Xian didn't want to do that. Oh, you're back? After seeing Yi Xian at the back of the training hall, Dong Xing asked in astonishment. Master. Yi Xian hurriedly recounted the situation. After Dong Xing finished listening, he was extremely shocked. Blood Rock Giant? What happened to the giant? Dong Xing asked. The Blood Rock Giant was a type of transcendent sacred beast. It was of a higher level than the Blood Rock Spider King, but it didn't have the sacred beast soul. I'm not sure. Yi Xian shook his head. Although Dong Xing was his master, he was a little neurotic and didn't trust people easily. Therefore it was better to keep it a secret. Dong Xing didn't ask any more and said, that Lian Cheng is the direct disciple of an outer sect alchemy hall elder, but I'm not someone to be trifled with. Don't worry, I'll definitely make him peel off his skin. Thank you, master. Yi Xian thanked him. Don't worry about it. You actually managed to break through from the 3rd level of human body disaster to the 5th level of human body disaster in just a few short days. I don't even know how you cultivate. Continue to work hard, and when you break through the 6th level of human body disaster, I'll accept you as my personal disciple. Dong Xing nodded in satisfaction. In fact, he wanted to accept Yi Xian right now. Although Yi Xian didn't bring back the corpse of the Blood Rock Spider King, Yi Xian's aptitude was definitely first in the outer sect. Chapter 959. After that, Yi Xian directly left Dong Xing's residence. Although Lian Cheng was also an elder's disciple, and a direct disciple at that, he had violated the sect rules. With Dong Xing around, the one who would be punished would definitely be Lian Cheng. Therefore, Yi Xian returned to his residence and quietly waited for Lian Cheng and the others to return. He estimated that it would still take half a day. I heard that as an outer sect disciple, as long as they defeat an inner sect disciple, they will be able to enter the inner sect. At that time, I will directly challenge that senior brother Gua. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. He still remembered the words that senior brother Gua had said before, as well as the other party's high and mighty attitude. He wanted to see what kind of expression senior brother Guo would have when he stepped on him. Young master, I've broken through to the 2nd layer of human body disaster. Just as Yi Xian returned to his residence, Luolua's excited voice rang out in his mind. And good luck. Yi Xian encouraged her. At the age of 15, Luoluo had only entered the Blood Rock sect for 2 months, yet she had already broken through to the 2nd layer of human body disaster. Her aptitude could be considered top-notch. However, Yi Xian had broken through to the 5th layer of human body disaster from the peak of the 9th layer of human body disaster in just 2 months. His aptitude had directly surpassed Luoluo's. As for what had happened today, Yi Xian did not plan to tell Luoluo, as he did not want to distract her. Now that I have one more devour point, which one should I strengthen? Yi Xian had been pondering in his heart. There were many uses for devour points. They could be used to exchange for Supreme Being spiritual treasures, bloodline evolution pills, etc. In fact, Yi Xian really wanted Luoluo to evolve again, but he did not have enough devour points. Therefore, he decided to keep this devour point first and look at it again in the future, as it might be useful in the future. Very quickly, half a day had passed. However, Dong Xing brought back a piece of news that disappointed Yi Xian. Yi Xian, that Lian Cheng and the others insisted that they did not see you that day. Furthermore, there was an inner sect elder behind them, so Dong Xing found Yi Xian and said helplessly. Although he believed Yi Xian's words, there was no one else that day. As long as Lian Cheng and the others' words were consistent, Yi Xian had no proof. Is that so? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. It seemed that Lian Cheng and the others were intimidated by the strength he revealed at that time. Fortunately, he didn't use his sword force at that time, and the only time he used it was blocked by the Blood Rock Giant's huge leg, so the other party didn't know. Otherwise, the one looking for Yi Xian wouldn't be Dong Xing. However, he also understood that that inner court elder was very possibly Luolua's master, Elder Yang. Yi Xian thought in his heart. Seeing him like this, Dongxing said, "Among the outer sect disciples, there is no one who is your opponent. In 3 days it will be the inner sect assessment. As long as you pass the assessment or defeat an inner sect disciple, you will be able to enter the inner sect. With your aptitude, it will not be a problem for you to be accepted as a direct disciple of an inner sect elder." Originally, Dongxing wanted to accept Yi Xian as a disciple, but he knew his own limits. He felt that there was no way he could teach Yi Xian, so he could only give it up and give it to an inner sect elder. "Master, I will definitely be able to enter the inner sect," Yi Xian said solemnly. To enter the inner sect, one had to be at least at the 7th stage of human body disaster. Only a small number of disciples at the 6th stage of human body disaster passed the assessment. However, with his current strength, he could kill someone at the 7th stage of human body disaster with a single strike. Passing the assessment or defeating an inner sect disciple would not be a problem. "Good, Master believes in you." Dongxing revealed a satisfied smile. Although he had several direct disciples, 2 of which were at the 6th stage of human body disaster, none of them had the same confidence as Yi Xian. After that, Dongxing left. The reason he came here was to remind Yi Xian to be more careful and not go out. At this time it was already late at night. However, tonight would not be a peaceful night. Not long after Dongxing left, another person arrived at Yi Xian's residence. "I never thought that you would actually play the pig to eat the tiger. Your strength is not bad." A familiar voice entered Yi Xian's ears. Yi Xian did not need to go out to know that the person who came was definitely that inner sect disciple, Senior Brother Gua. Hearing the voice, he walked out and said indifferently, "Senior Brother Gua has some great methods. You even managed to suppress the matter of killing your fellow disciples. Haha, you don't need to provoke me. I will not admit to it." The corner of Senior Brother Gua's mouth slightly curled up, saying, "Your survival from a great calamity was out of my expectations. Now I will give you a chance. Submit to me and I will let you enter the inner sect in 3 days." What? Yi Xian suspected that he had heard wrongly. This Senior Brother Gua actually wanted him to submit? Was this a joke? "Senior Brother Gua thinks too highly of yourself. What ability do you have to make me your subordinate?" Yi Xian's tone was full of disdain, as if he did not put Senior Brother Gua in his eyes at all. "Then you can stay in the outer sect for the rest of your life," Senior Brother Gua said with a gloomy face. Hearing this, Yi Xian could not help but shrink back. He pretended to be very worried, saying, "It seems that Senior Brother Gua can control the inner sect examination. However, Senior Brother Gua, have you forgotten that there is another way to enter the inner sect?" Senior Brother Gua naturally knew what Yi Xian was referring to. He sneered, saying, "You want to challenge an inner sect disciple with just your strength? Not only do I want to challenge an inner sect disciple, I also want to challenge you, Senior Brother Gua. I wonder if Senior Brother Gua will accept?" Yi Xian said with a smile. These words completely enraged Senior Brother Gua. Yi Xian actually wanted to step on him to enter the inner sect. Just how ignorant was he? His strength was considered to be at the peak of 7th layer human body disaster. However, Yi Xian had only killed a 6th layer human body disaster and dared to challenge him. This was simply courting death. "Since you overestimate yourself, then I will wait and see," Senior Brother Gua coldly shouted and suddenly slapped down with his palm. The house behind Yi Xian instantly collapsed, turned into ruins by Senior Brother Gua's palm. At this time they were in the Blood Rock sect, so Senior Brother Gua did not dare to slap Yi Xian in the face. He could only vent his anger on Yi Xian's house. After destroying Yi Xian's house, Senior Brother Gua floated away, leaving behind Yi Xian and the surrounding disciples who were quietly hiding to watch. This brat, does he really think that he has the qualifications to contend against an inner sect disciple just because he is an outer sect elder's disciple? He really doesn't want to live anymore. Senior Brother Gua's master is Elder Yang of the inner sect. Even if he enters the inner sect, he probably won't be able to survive. What a joke. A 5th layer human body disaster wants to pass the examination? It's not like we don't know how many 6th layer human body disaster senior brothers have failed the examination. What examination? Didn't this brat say that he wanted to challenge Senior Brother Gua? Crazy, he's really crazy. Chapter 960. The first time Senior Brother Gua had come, Yi Xian's door had been smashed apart. This time, Senior Brother Gua had directly destroyed Yi Xian's house. Senior Brother Gua's overbearingness was already enough to show. In the eyes of these outer disciples, Yi Xian was a brat who had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. He was completely treating his future as a joke. However, they didn't know that Yi Xian didn't take senior brother Guo seriously at all. His door was smashed, his house was destroyed, and he was besieged in the Blood Rock mine. All of these grudges were things that Yi Xian would take revenge for in 3 days. In Yi Xian's heart, senior brother Guo was just a stepping stone for him to enter the inner sect. There are still 3 days left. I'll go and accept a few more missions. Although it's unlikely for me to break through to 6th grade human body disaster, I'll still be able to increase my strength. Yi Xian thought in his heart. Although he did not place that senior brother Guo, who was at the 7th stage of human body disaster, in his eyes, he would not waste these 3 days. After all, that senior brother Guo was simply an ant in front of his true enemy. The yin-yang old ancestor was at least at the manifestation realm. Even spirit disaster experts wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from him, not to mention senior brother Guo, who hadn't even reached true energy disaster. However, there were currently no 6-star missions in the outer sect. As for 5-star missions, Yi Xian estimated that even if he completed 2 or 3 of them, he wouldn't be able to break through. At this moment, Yi Xian headed towards the training hall. This time he didn't need to report to Dongxing and directly accepted a 5-star mission. In the following days he went to complete the training hall missions. After completing them, he would be able to obtain some wealth from the training hall and some from the mission system. In addition to the rewards he obtained during the missions, he had increased his strength by quite a bit in the past 3 days. However, the result was as he had expected. He was unable to break through to 6th grade human body disaster. If there were 6-star missions, I'm afraid that I would be able to break through. Yi Xian helplessly shook his head. Tomorrow was the day of the inner sect examination. Many outer sect disciples who had gone out had also returned. The inner sect examination required registration, but the other method of challenging inner sect disciples didn't. When the time came they could just call the names. Young master, are you going to the inner sect examination tomorrow? At night Luoluo also asked. Of course, but I'm going to challenge an inner sect disciple tomorrow. He's your master's senior brother Guo, Yi Xian replied. Senior martial brother Guo? Alright young master, you have to beat him up tomorrow. This person is too annoying, always helping people send me flowers. But young master, you have to be careful. This senior brother Guo seems to be my master's illegitimate son. Luoluo suddenly told Yi Xian a shocking fact. Your master's illegitimate son? What happened? Yi Xian asked in surprise. A son was a son. How could he be an illegitimate child? Master only has one son, his name is Guo, but this is her and her husband's child. However, Master's husband died when he went out to train, so Master secretly gave birth to another child with another person, which was this senior martial brother Guoliang. However, Master said that Guoliang was adopted by her. Luo explained. So you're saying that this senior martial brother Guo has an older half-brother named Guo? Yi Xian immediately reacted. Yes, this Guo is already at 9th stage human body disaster and is currently attempting true energy disaster. Moreover, I heard that he has a good relationship with the young sect master. Luo nodded. Now Yi Xian finally understood why this Guoliang was so rampant. It turned out that his mother was an elder, and he had an older half-brother who had a good relationship with the young sect master of the Blood Rock sect. However, Yi Xian would not choose not to take revenge because of the other party's background. Since Luo knows about this, then it shouldn't be a secret in the inner sect. Yi Xian thought for a while, then asked, Then Luo, do you know who this Guoliang's father is? That I don't know. Therefore, young master, you have to be careful. If you beat up senior martial brother Guoliang, you might offend many people, Luo reminded him. I understand, but you have to be careful of your master. She doesn't seem to be a good person. Yi Xian also reminded her. Unexpectedly, Luo giggled. Yes, she keeps letting me interact with Guoliang. It seems that she has ulterior motives towards me. After hearing this, Yi Xian let out a sigh of relief. He was afraid that this little girl Luo would be easily fooled, but now it seemed that Luo was not that foolish. In the Blood Rock sect, Luo was still relatively safe. Yi Xian had previously set up a void positioning system in Luo's residence. If Luo was in any danger in the future, he could instantly teleport over and hide Luo in the storage space. But then again, Yi Xian was going to challenge senior martial brother Guo tomorrow. Senior martial brother Guo's background was a little troublesome, so he felt that he should show some mercy to avoid embarrassing elder Yang Zhen. As the house was destroyed, Yi Xian did not have a place to rest, so he simply sat cross-legged in the courtyard for the night. Originally, Dongxing had sent people to rebuild a new house for Yi Xian, but Yi Xian refused. He wanted to leave the ruins and let Guiliang see what it meant to overestimate one's strength. Soon the next day arrived. Blood Rock sect had several thousand outer disciples, but only 100 of them had reached 6th grade mortal body disaster. Today these 100 people were gathered together, preparing to participate in the inner sect examination. Of course, there were more than 10 people like Xian, preparing to directly challenge the inner sect disciples. If they succeeded in their challenge, they would directly enter the inner sect. If they failed, they would lose this opportunity. There were many people participating in the inner sect examination, at least 500 people. Among them, the majority were 5th grade mortal body disaster disciples, but before the inner sect examination, they would first challenge each other. At this time, several thousand people had already gathered in the outer sect martial field of the Blood Rock sect. They're here. The inner sect elders are here. There are also several dozen inner sect senior martial brothers. I wonder how many people will choose to directly challenge the inner sect senior martial brothers this time. The entire field was in an uproar. Although the inner sect examination had nothing to do with the majority of people, it was still very interesting to watch. Xian, who was mixed in the crowd, swept a glance over. This time there were more than 50 inner sect disciples that came, and at the same time, there were also close to 10 inner sect elders. The inner sect elders were all experts of true energy disaster. As for Dong Xing, who had accepted Xian as his disciple, he was only at 9th grade mortal body disaster. Mortal body disaster greatly increased one's physique, while true energy disaster greatly increased the strength of one's true energy. As for spirit disaster, it greatly increased the strength of one's spirit. When the strength of one's spirit increased, one's physical body and true energy would also increase. Furthermore, the increase would be even greater than when one was at mortal body disaster or spirit disaster. Therefore, the suppression of the 3 supreme sovereign disasters was stronger. At this time, Xian's gaze swept over and landed on a person, Guiliang. At this time, Guiliang was standing behind a female elder. It seemed that this female elder was Guiliang's mother, as well as Lolua's master, Yang. Chapter 961. 10 inner sect elders, 10 true energy disaster experts. Xian's heart trembled. However, even if Yang was present, she would not be able to stop him from violently beating up Guiliang. Today he actually had a plan, and that was to control Guiliang so as to avoid any unexpected problems in the future. Alright, everyone, quiet down. A middle-aged elder appeared in the air above the training grounds. When his voice rang out, everyone quieted down. The inner sect examination is about to begin, but before that there will be a challenge round. As long as someone succeeds in challenging an inner sect disciple, they will be able to directly enter the inner sect. After the middle-aged elder finished speaking, he looked around and said, "There are 50 inner sect disciples here, with the weakest being at 6th grade human body disaster. Each person can only be challenged once. Who will go first?" Among the inner sect disciples that the elders had brought this time, there were 3 6th grade human body disaster experts. These 3 people's strengths were comparatively weaker. Therefore, there were several powerful outer sect disciples who had set their eyes on them. "I'll go first. I'll go first." As soon as the middle-aged elder finished speaking, 3 people immediately jumped out. "You're first, you're second, and you're last." The middle-aged elder casually arranged the order for the 3 people. These 3 people were all at 6th grade human body disaster, and there were also 3 6th grade human body disaster experts among the 50 inner sect disciples. The outer sect disciple that was called first walked over and swept his gaze around, finally landing on an inner sect disciple. This inner sect disciple was the one who had entered the inner sect last time, and his strength was comparatively the weakest. "Senior brother, please come out and fight." The outer sect disciple shouted. "Alright." The long-haired youth that was called out loudly shouted and landed on the stage. The last time he had also challenged an inner sect senior brother and succeeded in entering the inner sect. However, this time he was the one who was called out. For the sake of face, he had to go all out. If he lost to an inner sect disciple, that would be a shameful matter. After all, there were thousands of people here. "Begin." The middle-aged elder shouted. In the next instant, the 2 6th grade human body disaster disciples began to fight. From the start, the 2 of them had already brought out their full strength. One of them wanted to enter the inner sect, while the other wanted to protect his face. Therefore they had no choice but to face each other. Xian looked at the 2 of them with an indifferent expression. However, his attention was on Guiliang. At this moment, the latter was also looking at Xian with a mocking expression. That gaze seemed to be saying, "Trash, if you dare to challenge me today, I will beat you until half of your body is paralyzed. Yi Xian glanced at Guoliang and didn't pay him any more attention. Suddenly a figure flashed to his side. Hehe, young master. It was unknown when Luo had run over. She intimately held onto Yi Xian's arm and giggled. When the group of disciples standing beside Yi Xian saw Luo's inner disciple robes, they all retreated. At the same time they looked at Yi Xian with astonishment. F***K, an outer disciple hooked up with a senior sister of the inner disciples? What a good move. Luo wasn't human. Her fused tail shook in the air. From time to time she would scratch Yi Xian's waist. The eyes of the people behind them lit up when they saw this. There weren't only humans in the Holy Land. There were many other races. However, this was the first time they had seen such a cute girl from the Fox clan. If they could marry her, they would be willing to lose 10 years of their lives. This girl is here to make enemies for me. Yi Xian rolled his eyes. Luo was an inner disciple, but she was holding onto the arm of an outer disciple. This attracted the attention of many people. Not only that, Guoliang looked at Yi Xian with an angry expression. If Yi Xian was Luo's biological brother, he would have tried to curry favor with him. However, Yi Xian and Luo weren't biological siblings. This was why he was so jealous. Fortunately, Yang Zhen told him that Luo was still a virgin. When Elder Yang Zhen saw this scene, she snorted and said, Luo, come here. Hearing those words, Luo pouted unwillingly. Then she slowly floated over. Soon the outcome of the battle was decided. The challenger lost the opportunity to enter the inner sect. As for the inner sect disciple who was challenged, he managed to keep his face. Next, it was the second challenger. His opponent was still an inner sect disciple of 6th level human body disaster. Senior brother, please? Junior brother, please? Another battle broke out on the stage. In less than half a minute, the outcome of the battle was decided. The challenger lost again. Those who were able to enter the inner sect were all well-known figures of their generation. How could they lose so easily? Next, it was the third challenger. This third challenger's strength could be considered to be quite good. He had probably accumulated his strength for a long time before winning. Very good. Finally, there is one person who succeeded. From today onwards, you are an inner sect disciple of my Bloodcliff sect. The middle-aged elder said to the third challenger. Thank you, elder. The third outer sect disciple cupped his fists respectfully. As of now, the 3 disciples of 6th level human body disaster had been challenged. Therefore, the following challengers were not allowed to challenge them. In fact, true geniuses did not like to challenge opponents of the same level. Their goal was to challenge those of a higher level. For an outer sect disciple of 6th level human body disaster to successfully defeat an inner sect disciple of 6th level human body disaster, this was indeed something that would make people's eyes light up. However, if an outer sect disciple of 6th level human body disaster were to beat an inner sect disciple of 7th level human body disaster out of the stage, wouldn't everyone present be shocked? Entering the inner sect did not mean that one would be chosen by an elder. However, if one was able to challenge those of a higher level, one would definitely be accepted as a disciple by an elder. Therefore, many people had such thoughts. Even if they failed, they could wait for the next challenge. As long as they succeeded and were accepted as a disciple by an inner sect elder, they would soar to the heavens. Is there anyone else? The middle-aged elder shouted. Before he finished speaking, a person flew out. It was still an outer sect disciple of 6th level human body disaster. Good. Who do you want to challenge? The middle-aged elder asked. Senior brother Yuanhua, please come out for a battle. The outer sect disciple shouted. The Yuanhua he spoke of was an inner sect disciple of 7th level human body disaster. This time he wanted to challenge Yuanhua to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat, shameless boasting. After hearing this, Yuanhua coldly snorted in his heart. At this moment, being challenged by someone was an extremely disgraceful thing. After all, the other party thought that you were a persimmon that was easy to pinch. However, due to the rules he still flew down. At the same time, he was prepared to teach this outer sect disciple who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth a lesson. Thank you, senior brother. That outer sect disciple cupped his fists and thanked Yuanhua, then tightly gripped the war blade in his hand. Humph. Yuanhua, who was challenged, coldly snorted. Begin. Chapter 962. Boom. 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 Sounds of true chi clashing resounded in the arena. From the very beginning, the challenger had brought out his full strength. His attack power was actually stronger than Yuanhua's, who was at 7th stage human body disaster. This scene gave the surrounding people a fright. One was at 6th-stage human body disaster while the other was at 7th-stage human body disaster. However, the former's attack power was actually stronger than the latter's. This was rare. With a difference of 1 stage, both the physical body and true chi would be weaker than the opponent. However, this challenger's attack power was definitely not due to the weapon in his hand being a blade. 13 Demon Exterminating Blades. He mastered the 13 Demon Exterminating Blades. A sharp-eyed disciple cried out in alarm. The 13 Demon Exterminating Blades was a martial art that was rather difficult to master in the Blood Rock sect. Its attack power was very strong. Furthermore, there were very few people who used blades. Therefore, not many people had mastered it. However, this challenger had done it. So it's this martial art. Not bad, not bad. The 13 Demon Exterminating Blades, each blade is stronger than the previous. I wonder how many blades Xianxia can take. The middle-aged elder who was flying in the air muttered. He had a whole new level of respect for this challenger. This was because the 13 Demon Exterminating Blades was created by him. Therefore, he understood how difficult it was to master this blade art. In the arena. 6th blade. 7th blade. 8th blade. Xianxia, who was being challenged, had underestimated his opponent from the very beginning. As a result, he instantly fell into a disadvantage. As the 13 Demon Exterminating Blades continued to be used, its power also continued to increase. At the 8th blade, Xianxia had no choice but to reveal his true strength. However, by the time he reacted, it was already too late. 11th Demon Exterminating Blade. Bang! Xianxia's attack was easily defeated. Immediately after, he was struck by the 11th Demon Exterminating Blade and was sent flying. Fortunately, the power of the 11th Demon Exterminating Blade had been greatly reduced by his attack. Otherwise, this blade would have been enough to split his body in half. Challenge successful. The middle-aged man glanced at Xianxia, who was sent flying, and announced, "Wah." Once these words were spoken, the surrounding disciples were in an uproar. Successfully defeating an inner disciple of 7th-stage human body disaster while being at 6th-stage human body disaster, his aptitude was quite good. Xianxia vomited blood from the blade. He crawled up and glared fiercely at the challenger. However, at this moment, "You're not bad. You have actually cultivated the 13 blades to such a level. I wonder if you are willing to become my disciple?" The middle-aged elder asked the challenger. "Hua." Another uproar broke out in the crowd. "Elder, accept a disciple. This disciple is willing." The challenger hurriedly bowed. "All right." The middle-aged man nodded in satisfaction. He was an expert of true energy disaster, so he was naturally able to tell that this challenger had not only cultivated the 13 demonic exterminating blades to the pinnacle, his movement technique was also extremely outstanding. Most importantly, this challenger had forcibly suppressed his realm to the 6th level of human body disaster. After today, he estimated that he would be able to cross the 7th level of human body disaster in less than 2 or 3 days. Congratulations, congratulations. The elders at the side also cupped their fists and said. Now, the surrounding outer sect disciples finally understood that the challenger had a premeditated plan because the demon exterminating 13 blades was created by the middle-aged elder. It was really a good plan. Alright, let the challenge continue. The middle-aged elder was in a good mood because he had accepted a disciple with good potential. Immediately after, another person jumped up and challenged the 7th level human body disaster inner sect disciple. However, this challenger was in a miserable state and was utterly defeated. He was a typical example of overestimating his own strength. After that disciple with an outstanding blade technique, several other people succeeded in their challenges. Of course, there were some who went easy on him. After all, there were some things that were not known to others. Young master, aren't you going up? Luo, who was standing beside Xianxia, said in his mind. I'm going up now. Yixian replied. At this moment, one person was defeated and left the stage. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge? The middle-aged elder shouted. Yes. After passing through the 10 challengers, Yixian also felt that it was time for him to go on stage. At that moment he responded and directly rushed up. Guoliang had been looking at Yixian with a mocking expression. He thought that Yixian was scared, but when he saw Yixian come out, his eyes couldn't help but light up. Yixian might have been joking when he said that he wanted to challenge him yesterday, so Guoliang didn't hold much hope. However, Yixian's target wouldn't change. An 5th level human body disaster? When Yixian came out, all the elders were shocked. Brat, those who have been challenged can't be chosen again. The middle-aged elder said to Yixian. Many thanks for the reminder, elder. Yi Xian thanked him, then looked at Guoliang and said, "Senior brother Gua, come down and fight." Bang. When these words came out, everyone present was shocked. Yi Xian actually wanted to challenge him. 5th level human body disaster challenging a 7th level human body disaster was one thing, but he even wanted to challenge Guoliang, who was pretty strong. Was he tired of living? Good, you have guts. Guoliang shouted and directly landed on the stage. He had been waiting for a long time for Yi Xian to say those words. Are you sure you want to challenge Guoliang? The middle-aged elder frowned and asked. Yes. Yi Xian solemnly replied. Good. The middle-aged elder didn't say anything else and said, then let's begin. In the previous few rounds, the two people on the stage would start fighting when the middle-aged elder's voice sounded. But this time it didn't happen. Guoliang looked at Yi Xian, who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, and said in a low voice, no matter what your relationship with Luo Luo is, you just have to remember that Luo Luo will definitely be my woman in the future. Hehe, Luolua's husband in the future will definitely not be you. Yi Xian coldly laughed. Let's wait and see. Guoliang's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of coldness. Yi Xian's talent was indeed not bad, but since he provoked him, he had to die prematurely. Shio. In an instant, Guoliang made his move. A sharp sword light swept towards Yi Xian. Guoliang's strength could definitely be ranked first among the inner disciples who had just entered the stage. But when facing Yi Xian, even a dragon would have to lie down. At this moment, Yi Xian held the sky-trembling sword and similarly slashed out. Cold sky slash. Pung. The two sword lights collided, instantly creating a huge shockwave. Yi Xian, who was 2 realms lower than Guoliang, was actually evenly matched with Guoliang's sword. Of course, Yi Xian didn't use any sword force in that sword strike, otherwise Guoliang would have already died. This is impossible. Guoliang's expression changed greatly. He was 2 realms higher than Yi Xian and had been taught by an expert since young. How could he not be able to win against a 5th-grade human body disaster brat? He didn't believe it. Shio. Chapter 963. Guoliang had previously destroyed Yi Xian's door, then destroyed Yi Xian's house, leaving Yi Xian with no place to stay. Yi Xian would definitely take revenge for this, but Yi Xian did not want to send Guoliang flying so quickly. The show had just begun. Boom. 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 Explosions continuously sounded out from the stage, but the two were evenly matched, with no one gaining the upper hand. The surrounding people were already stunned. What's going on? Is senior brother Guoliang acting with him? A 7th-stage human body disaster's attack was actually blocked by a 5th-stage human body disaster? No, it's not acting. That attack is enough to instantly kill a 6th-stage human body disaster. Then what's going on? Isn't that brat a little too strong? I don't know where this brat came from. 2 months ago he hadn't even entered the Blood Rock sect. 2 months later he's actually able to contend against senior brother Guoliang. This is simply inconceivable. Fortunately, this brat is older than senior brother Guoliang. He's only 20 years old this year. The surrounding disciples began to discuss one after another. Not only them but even the outer disciples were the same. Of course, the one who was the most shocked was Guoliang's mother, Elder Yang. Guoliang was her adopted son, but in reality he was her biological son. She was very clear about her son's strength. This brat's aptitude is so outstanding, and Luo Luo isn't bad either. Just where did they come from? Yang Jin said in astonishment. At this time the battle on the stage was still intense. Impossible, this brat can't be so strong. Guoliang did not dare to believe it, his heart continuously denying it. However, the truth was right in front of his eyes. Gale steps. Yi Xian's figure constantly swayed in front of his eyes. This was a supreme being martial art he had learned before. Combined with his 8 times agility advancement, it was extremely useful. In terms of speed he was a little faster than Guoliang. In addition, his attack power was not low, so the two were evenly matched. However, Yi Xian did not reveal a single one of his trump cards. Humph, it's time to collect some interest. Yi Xian's eyes flashed, and he suddenly leaned toward Guoliang. You're courting death. When Guoliang saw that Yi Xian had come over to deliver his head, he naturally leaned over as well. But at this moment, burning eye of illusion. The 2 spiritual attacks took effect at the same time. Guoliang's body trembled. At this time his surroundings had changed. He suddenly appeared in a cemetery. The surroundings were gloomy, and there were many floating will-o-the-wisps. The cries of the crows were also extremely miserable. Not only that, but he also felt pain in his heart, but because he was in an illusion he mistakenly thought that the pain was fake. This brat, he even knows illusions. That's impossible. Guoliang was not confused by the illusion. Yi Xian's eye of illusion was indeed powerful, but it wasn't at the level where it could tamper with one's memories. Some powerful people could cast illusions that could make the victim think that they were really in that place. These two moves instantly weakened Guoliang's spiritual power, allowing Yi Xian to close in on him. Whoosh whoosh. Yi Xian's left hand formed a fist and punched straight at Guoliang's nose. In the next moment, a crisp sound rang out. Crack. Guoliang's nose was directly smashed crooked by Yi Xian's punch, and blood spurted out wildly. What's going on? This scene made everyone dumbstruck. Guoliang, who clearly could have dodged this punch, suddenly stood there in a daze. What's going on? Illusions? The middle-aged elder raised his eyebrows and looked at the arena in disbelief. This was because even he didn't see how Yi Xian used illusions to make Guoliang fall for it. This brat is amazing. I didn't even see when he used it. A gray-robed elder stroked his beard and said. Not only that, but Yangzhen was also the same. However, the one being beaten was her son. As she glared, the gray-robed elder smiled awkwardly and then obediently shut his mouth. Bam! 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 Yi Xian instantly punched out, beating Guoliang black and blue. Guoliang only broke the illusion after 4 punches, but just as he woke up, he was hit again. Burning Eye. Forbidden Eye of Illusion. The 2 consecutive attacks left Guoliang powerless in front of Yi Xian. Kill, I'm going to kill you. Get out here. Guoliang shouted loudly. Although Yi Xian was right in front of him, he couldn't see him. He madly swung his sword and slashed in all directions. Now, everyone present finally understood that Guoliang had been hit by illusions. Martial arts like illusions were not popular in the Blood Rock sect. This was because the Blood Rock sect worshipped strength and didn't like to play tricks, so not many people learned it. Yi Xian's Burning Eye and Forbidden Eye of Illusion were too insidious. No one could block them unless the opponent was blind or had the Eye of Perception. Only then would they be able to fight him. This made Yi Xian invincible. Bam! 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 A series of muffled sounds rang out as Yi Xian easily dodged Guoliang's untargeted attacks. Then his fists landed on Guoliang's face. Not only was the latter beaten black and blue, he even lost 2 of his teeth. The entire place was silent. The surrounding people were already speechless, completely forgetting about certain things. Yi Xian was only at 5th level of human body disaster. Guoliang was at 7th level of human body disaster. An outer disciple at 5th level of human body disaster beating an inner disciple who had few opponents at 7th level of human body disaster. This was the first time they had seen such a scene. Moreover, Guoliang's master was still here. Each of Yi Xian's punches seemed to have landed on Elder Yangzhen's face. This brat is really crazy. An elder thought. He knew about the relationship between Guoliang and Elder Yangzhen, as well as many other things. This wasn't a secret among the upper echelons of the Blood Rock sect. In front of Elder Yangzhen, Yi Xian beat up her own son Guoliang. They didn't know whether to call Yi Xian ignorant or ignorant. However, what they never expected was that Yi Xian knew about the relationship between Guoliang and Yangzhen. So what if he was the son of an elder? At this time Yangzhen's face was already deathly pale, as if she was bleeding profusely. At this time she wanted nothing more than to tear Yi Xian into pieces. However, with so many disciples and elders around, she couldn't do anything. After all, Guoliang was only taking a beating, his life wasn't in danger. Ah, Yi Xian, I'll cut you 1,000 times. Guoliang roared towards the sky, but before he could finish, Yi Xian's fist landed on his face. Blood splattered, and another tooth flew below the stage. Ayaya, young master, hit me a few more times, it's so satisfying. Chapter 964. No problem. Yi Xian turned his anger into strength and punched Guoliang's face again and again. The originally handsome Guoliang was now a big pig's head. However, at this moment. Enough. Suddenly a shout rang out. Yi Xian glanced around and saw that it was Yangzhen who couldn't sit still anymore. Helpless, Yi Xian could only stop, but he didn't forget his plan. Ding, control successful. A system notification rang out. Guoliang, who was beaten into a pig's head, didn't have any ability to resist and was directly controlled by Yi Xian. Moreover, no one noticed. The entire arena was still silent. You win. From today onwards, you will be my Blood Rock sect's inner disciple. The middle-aged elder said. Thank you, elder. Yi Xian kept his sky-shocking sword and thanked him. All the disciples waited for the follow-up, but after looking for a while, they realized that no one spoke. What's going on? No one wants such a monstrous disciple? Are you a pig? Guoliang is Elder Yang's adopted son. This brat beat Guoliang up. If anyone were to accept him as a disciple, wouldn't they have to go against Elder Yang? What's the big deal? We're all elders, what's there to be afraid of? Shut up, don't talk anymore. Be careful of trouble from the mouth. A few disciples who knew the inside story hurriedly fell silent. Elder Yang, although she was only an elder, her strength surpassed ordinary people. In addition, Elder Yang's eldest son, Guoqiao, had a good relationship with the young sect leader, so no one dared to provoke him. However, these disciples only knew one thing and didn't know the other. What made the other elders fearful was not only because of Guoqiao, but also because of other reasons. A group of short-sighted old fellows. Young master has such a good aptitude but they don't want it. I'm so angry. Luo said angrily. These elders probably didn't want to become enemies with your master because my actions were bad, so they gave up. It doesn't matter. Anyway, young master's cultivation method is different. Furthermore, I don't necessarily need a master. Yi Xian walked down the stage magnanimously. But at this moment... Wait. Suddenly, a voice attracted everyone's attention. They turned to look and discovered that Elder Yang Zhen had taken a few steps forward. Was he going to avenge Guoliang? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect Yang Zhen to be so bold as to use her status as an elder to pressure a disciple like him. This was a loss of face. However, the truth was beyond his expectations. Are you willing to become my disciple? Elder Yang Zhen asked Yi Xian. Once these words were spoken, it caused everyone present to be shocked. Elder Yang Zhen actually wanted to take in Yi Xian? This was something that even Yi Xian hadn't expected. A woman's heart is the most poisonous. Do you think that by taking me in, you can legitimately deal with me? Yi Xian saw through Elder Yang Zhen's trick and immediately refused. Sorry, Elder Yang. I didn't know how to control my strength and beat up senior brother Gua. I'll just cultivate alone. The strong are respected. He lost to you because he wasn't strong enough. It's just a competition. He won't mind, Yang Zhen said indifferently. I mind. Before Yi Xian could speak, Guoliang, who had been beaten into a pig's head by Yi Xian, shouted, Master, this brat beat me up like this. Why don't you take revenge for me and take him in as your disciple? Shut up. Yang Zhen shouted angrily. She couldn't understand. Guoliang was usually very smart, so why was he so stupid now? If she took in Yi Xian, she could casually send him out to do missions in the future. When that time came, would she still have to worry about not having a chance to make a move on Yi Xian? However, she also understood that Guoliang was currently blinded by hatred. After all, he was beaten black and blue by Yi Xian, who was 2 realms lower than him, in front of thousands of people. It was normal for him to speak without thinking. However, how did she know that Guoliang was already under Yi Xian's control? Elder Yang is very righteous, but this disciple feels that it's better to forget about it. Many thanks, Elder Yang, Yi Xian said gratefully. This Yang Zhen was worthy of being an elder. Her words just now made the surrounding people think that she was thirsty for talent, as if she was going to put righteousness before family. Seeing Yi Xian refuse again, a trace of viciousness flashed through Yang Zhen's eyes. Her son wasn't someone that could be beaten up so casually. Seeing this, the middle-aged elder hurriedly said, All right, you can leave first. The competition will continue. Yi Xian walked to the side. When the surrounding disciples saw him, they all made way for him. Who in the 5th level of human body disaster would have the strength to beat up the 7th level of human body disaster Guoliang? No, let's not talk about strength first. Who had the guts to beat up Guoliang in front of Yang Zhen? Perhaps there wasn't a single person present who dared to do so. If Elder Dong Xing of the Hall of Experience was present, he would probably vomit blood from Yi Xian's actions. This was completely destroying one's own future. Soon the challenges continued. After the previous battle, the remaining challengers were very careful, afraid that they would anger an elder. These people all hated Yi Xian. After all, the elder had come in high spirits at the start, but now he didn't do anything. It was obvious that his mood was affected by Yi Xian's battle. In the end, all 15 challengers finished their challenges. Only 5 of them were successful, and Yi Xian was one of them. The 5 of you will report to the inner sect tomorrow. The middle-aged elder said to Yi Xian and the others, then continued, Next, we will begin the inner sect assessment. The inner sect assessment was finally here, but Yi Xian wasn't interested in it. He had already achieved his 2 goals today. One was to enter the inner sect, and the other was to control Guoliang. Guoliang was beaten up by me and then controlled by me. No one would think that he is already my subordinate. However, that Yang seems to hate me to the bone, so I still have to be careful. Yi Xian thought in his heart, then left the martial arts field. Young master, you were so cool just now. Luo immediately transmitted her voice to him. Aha, you can watch over there. I'll leave first. Yi Xian said with a smile. He could only report to the inner sect tomorrow. At that time he would be able to accept the inner sect missions. However, he didn't know if he would be the first to enter the inner sect with a cultivation of 5th grade human body disaster. Today Yi Xian went back to rest for a day. He was too lazy to watch the inner sect assessment. At the same time he passed the news of his promotion to the inner sect to Dong Xing. Of course Dong Xing didn't know what he did. Very soon the day passed. The next day Yi Xian went to the inner sect to report. However, entering the inner sect wasn't that simple. Although you entered the inner sect through the challenge, you still need to complete a mission. In the inner sect's miscellaneous hall, an inner sect disciple said to Yi Xian, "Didn't you say that I can enter after the challenge? Why is there another mission?" Chapter 965. Hearing this, the inner disciple said impatiently, "From this moment onwards it will be different. There will be an additional inner disciple assessment. Yesterday the disciples who passed the inner disciple assessment will also have to complete this mission. If you want to enter the inner disciples, you will have to complete this mission. Do you accept it or not?" Hearing this, Yi Xian couldn't help but think of a person. That person was Yang. He was afraid that Yang had already started to deal with him. This additional assessment mission was probably decided last night. "Okay, I accept." Yi Xian nodded. Immediately after, the inner disciple took out a scroll and gave it to Yi Xian. After reading it, the latter raised his eyebrows. The assessment mission only required him to kill a transcendent saint beast. For someone like him who had beaten up Guoliang, this mission was extremely easy. So, I might meet some people during the assessment? Yi Xian thought inwardly. If this assessment mission was issued by Yang at the last minute, then Yang should want to kill him during the assessment mission. Of course, he couldn't be 100% sure that this assessment mission was Yang idea at the last minute. As long as you don't come personally, I won't be afraid." Yi Xian's eyes flashed, then he left. However, he still told Luo about this matter. Now that Luo knew that Guoliang was under his control, she didn't reject him anymore. Guoliang could also directly tell Luo the secret, then she would pass it on to Yi Xian. "Young master," Guoliang said that this was decided last night by master. "She will make a move on you while you are carrying out the mission. You have to be careful." Luo hurriedly said. "She will personally make a move?" Yi Xian was shocked. Although he was strong now, there was a huge gap between human body disaster and true energy disaster. He didn't have the confidence to kill Yang. Although his attack power was very strong, his speed wasn't even half of Yang. He probably didn't even have a third or even a fifth of her speed. "No, it's just human body disaster," Luo replied. "Oh, since there's no true energy disaster expert, then it's fine," Yi Xian calmly said. "Yes, be careful," Luo reminded him once again. She wasn't worried about dealing with Yi Xian's strength. Besides, Yi Xian still had a clone in the eastern continent, so he wouldn't die. After accepting the mission, he immediately left the Blood Rock sect. His target this time was a day or two away from the Blood Rock sect. He needed to kill a snow mountain ape and bring back its corpse. After leaving the Blood Rock sect, he headed straight for the 10,000 snowy mountains. If that Yang wants to make a move on me, then there will definitely be disciples who will coincidentally meet me. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes, but he did not pay much attention to him. With his strength, he was almost invincible in the inner sect. Anyone who wanted to kill him would have to be prepared to be killed by him. The time limit for this entry mission was 7 days. If he traveled at full speed, he could reach the snowy mountain in 1 day. However, in order to let the other party catch up, he deliberately slowed down. However, after running for half a day, he didn't see anyone blocking his path. Could it be that they want me to enter the snowy mountain to complete the mission first, and then intercept me on my way back? If I die in the snowy mountain, then it will save them a lot of trouble. Yi Xian immediately understood. Immediately, he hurried on with his journey at full speed. After a day, he arrived at the snowy mountain. The snowy mountain was home to a large number of transcendent saint beasts. However, Yi Xian's target, the snow mountain ape, was only in the periphery, so he didn't need to go deep. "I'll take advantage of this opportunity to raise my cultivation." Yi Xian thought for a moment, then stepped into the snowy mountain. He only needed 2 days for a round trip and 1 day for backup. Therefore he still had 4 days to train inside. It wouldn't be a problem for him to reach the 6th layer of human body disaster, or even the 7th layer of human body disaster. With the eye of perception he saw a few transcendent saint beasts the moment he entered. However, their cultivation wasn't high, and the majority of them were only at the 4th or 5th layer of human body disaster. Xian wasn't picky, and directly killed those transcendent saint beasts, devouring their corpses and saint beast souls to improve his cultivation. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the snowy mountain was 10,000 layers, as there were more than 10,000 snowy mountains inside. In this world of ice and snow, Xian felt that the speed of his qi had decreased by a lot. The deeper he went, the slower his speed became. It was said that there were transcendent saint beasts of spirit disaster inside, but those saint beasts of that level would definitely stay in the depths. There was a map on the scroll he obtained from the mission. Xian followed the map and found the nest of the Snow Mountain Ape, then went up. The Snow Mountain Ape was a transcendent saint beast with boundless strength. Even if it was a 6th layer human body disaster, it wasn't something a human of the same level could deal with. Originally, Xian thought that this Snow Mountain Ape would be easy, but from the looks of it, it wasn't that easy. Of course, this was only for the other disciples. In Xian's eyes, this Snow Mountain Ape wasn't a threat at all. It was just a piece of tofu that could move. Cold Sky Slash. Sword Force. Xian wielded the Skyquake sword and could kill this Snow Mountain Ape with a single slash. However, this wasn't his goal. His mission was to kill the Snow Mountain Ape of 7th layer human body disaster. Relying on his eyes of perception, Xian easily found a lone Snow Mountain Ape of 7th layer human body disaster. Of course, it didn't matter to him whether it was alone or not. Cold Sky Slash. Sword Force. After comprehending Sword Force, he was able to split the Snow Mountain Ape of 7th layer human body disaster into 2 with a single slash. Mission complete. Xian went over and collected the corpse of the Snow Mountain Ape. Since he was already here, he decided to clean up the nest of the Snow Mountain Ape. His cultivation was rapidly increasing. With the benefits of devouring, the benefits of killing a transcendent sacred beast was much greater than the benefits of devouring natural treasures. This place was simply a treasure trove for him to level up. However, just as he was hunting down the Snow Mountain Ape, several powerful auras suddenly entered the range of his perception. They're here? Xian's eyebrows twitched. It seemed that the people who were chasing after him had already appeared. These auras were all 9th layer human body disaster experts. There was a total of 5 of them. They really think highly of me, to actually send 5 9th layer human body disaster experts. Xian couldn't help sighing in his heart. 5 9th layer human body disaster experts. They were probably the peak disciples of the Blood Rock sect. To actually send 5 9th layer human body disaster experts to chase after a 5th layer human body disaster expert like him, they were truly seeing a ghost. Very quickly the 5 of them rushed towards him. Xian stopped what he was doing and looked at them. Chapter 966. However, what surprised Xian was that these 5 people were not wearing the Blood Rock sect's uniform. Instead, they were wearing orange-red robes with a huge flame drawn on them. Blood Rock sect's disciples? The leader of the group, a middle-aged man, looked at Xian and could not help but snort. However, in the next moment he turned around and said, "It's not him. Let's go." Immediately after, the other 4 people followed the middle-aged man and left, leaving behind a stunned Xian. Xian originally thought that these 5 people were Blood Rock sect's disciples who came to kill him. However, he did not expect that they were not. Then what was the situation with these 5 people? It is said that there are several powerful forces around the Blood Rock sect. One of them is called the Blazing Fire Manor. This Blazing Fire Manor's people wear blazing fire robes and practice blazing fire blade techniques. It seems that those 5 people are from the Blazing Fire Manor. Xian thought to himself. The Blazing Fire Manor was stronger than the Blood Rock sect. 5 9th grade human body disaster experts were nothing to the Blazing Fire Manor. However, what Xian did not understand was that these 5 people from the Blazing Fire Manor seemed to be chasing someone. Xian's killing of the Snow Mountain Ape had obviously attracted the attention of these 5 people. However, he did not know who they were chasing. Out of curiosity, he decided to chase after them. Since my mission is complete, I'll follow them and take a look. Xian thought to himself. Then he chased after the 5 experts from the Blazing Fire Manor. It was currently late at night. These 5 people had been searching. Xian followed behind them and hid very well. These 5 people did not discover him. That guy was poisoned. He shouldn't have run far. Why can't we find him? The middle-aged man in the lead said in surprise. He must be hiding. That guy practices the snow wind movement technique. These snowy mountains are very suitable for him to hide. Then what should we do? We can't just let a cooked duck fly away. Continue searching. The 5 people split up and began searching. Yixian was hidden in the snow. He could clearly hear their conversation. However, at this moment he suddenly felt that there was a 6th person moving within his range. Could it be that this is the person that the 5 people from the Blazing Fire Villa are hunting? Yixian raised an eyebrow. However, when the 6th person began to move, someone suddenly shouted, "Found him!" There was an expert from the Blazing Fire Village who was in the vicinity of this 6th person. When the latter moved, he discovered him. Yixian also hurried over to see who was being hunted. "Haha, young Master Wind Snow, you have nowhere to run this time, right?" The middle-aged man in the lead quickly chased after him and laughed out loud. "Young Master Wind Snow?" When Yixian heard this name, he quickly searched his memory. There were several powerful forces around the Bloodrock sect. Other than the Raging Inferno Villa, there was also a force called the Wind Snow Villa. The Raging Inferno Villa and the Wind Snow Villa had been opposing each other for a very long time. The reason was very simple. One was Raging Inferno and the other was Wind Snow. It was a dispute caused by their names. In the end, they had reached a point where they could not coexist with each other. This young Master Wind Snow was the young Villa Master of the Wind Snow Villa. It was said that he had long since broken through to true energy disaster and was the second genius of the Wind Snow Villa. It was rare for an expert of true energy disaster to be hunted down by 5 9th layer human body disaster experts. However, Yixian also heard that young Master Wind Snow was currently in a poisoned state. It is said that young Master Wind Snow is a virtuous person who enjoys helping others, while the Raging Inferno Villa often does some underhanded things. Yixian slightly narrowed his eyes. He had killed so many people and his hands were stained with blood. This time he might as well try to save someone. Immediately he stealthily sneaked over. "Are the 5 of you trying to provoke a war between our 2 villas?" A young voice rang out. "Young Master Wind Snow, what I gave you was not a poison. Did you lose your mind?" The middle-aged man in the lead sneered as he rushed toward young Master Wind Snow. Young Master Wind Snow was accidentally poisoned by the people of the Blazing Fire Villa using despicable means, causing his realm to fall to 9th layer human body disaster. Coupled with the fact that he was poisoned, he chose to escape. "Don't think that I will definitely die just because I am poisoned. Do you think that I don't have a life-saving talisman on me?" Young Master Wind Snow suddenly took out a token from his interspatial ring. The 5 people from the Blazing Fire Villa all recognized this token. Snow Wind Token. The expressions of the 5 people from the Blazing Fire Villa changed greatly. The Snow Wind Token was a peculiar treasure that could make heavy snow suddenly fall from the sky and then condense it into ice blades to attack the enemy. Moreover, this place was a 10,000 layer snow mountain, so its power would be greatly increased. This Snow Wind Token was enough to kill the 5 experts of the Raging Inferno Villa. Damn it, that old man actually gave it to this kid. The middle-aged man in the lead had a gloomy expression. However, at this moment someone suddenly took a step forward and said, "That bastard from the Snow Wind Villa killed my younger brother last month. I will kill him and avenge my younger brother." After seeing the Snow Wind Token, this person was still able to walk out. Naturally, he was prepared to die. The middle-aged man in the lead's expression darkened and he immediately replied, "Okay." The 4 of them retreated first and let this person fight with young Master Wind Snow. If young Master Wind Snow used the Snow Wind Token, he would have no more trump cards and would have to exchange a life for a life. Young Master Wind Snow did not expect the other party to come up with a countermeasure. He immediately held the Snow Wind Token and prepared to use it to kill all 5 of them. However, at this moment, whoosh! Suddenly a piercing sound rang out. "Who is it?" The middle-aged man in the lead of the Raging Inferno Villa shouted in a low voice. However, in the blink of an eye, a cold light swept towards the expert in front of him. Swish! In an instant, the expert who was prepared to die together with young Master Wind Snow died tragically. Just now, his attention was focused on young Master Wind Snow, so his reaction was slow and he was killed by a sneak attack. The person who attacked him was naturally Yixian, who was hiding in the surroundings. After killing one of them, Yixian walked out from the darkness. After seeing him, the 4 people from the Raging Inferno Villa were shocked. Wasn't this person the disciple of the Bloodrock sect they saw just now? "You are courting death." The middle-aged man in the lead did not care so much and directly slashed his sword towards Yixian. However, to his surprise, this sword was easily blocked by Yixian because Yixian used sword force. Bang! The 2 energies collided and instantly melted the surrounding snow, forming small streams. At the same time, Yixian was swept away by the airwaves. Burning Eye. Eyes of Illusion. Eyes of Nirvana. 3 heavenly eyes were activated simultaneously. The middle-aged man in the lead was still in shock and was killed by the eyes of Nirvana. Out of the 4, one less, there were only 3 left. Sword Force. Chapter 967. A 5th-level human body disaster was able to fight a 9th-level human body disaster to a draw. This was the might of the sword. Of course, Wei Jinqian also contributed greatly. If Wei Jinqian was still a 3rd-grade first-step supreme spiritual treasure, its might wouldn't be enough. However, after Wei Jinqian devoured the Crimson Stone Giant, it jumped 3 grades and became a 6th-grade supreme spiritual treasure. At this moment, young Master Wind Snow was also shocked. He didn't expect that there would be other people hiding in the surroundings. Furthermore, to be able to kill 2 9th-level human body disaster experts in the blink of an eye, his strength was truly frightening. Sir, please kill the 3 of them. After this, I will definitely reward you handsomely. Young Master Wind Snow hurriedly said. Right now, Yi Xian was his life-saving straw. If Yi Xian didn't appear, then he would have to use the Snow Wind token. Okay. Yi Xian directly answered. Just now he had killed the 2 and obtained their universe rings. At this moment, his aura suddenly increased by a large amount. Ding. Host has broken through. Currently at 6th level human body disaster. When he was at 5th level human body disaster, he had killed 2 people with sneak attacks. Now that he had broken through, he was able to face the remaining 3 head-on. Kill? At this moment, Yi Xian wielded the sky-shocking sword and charged over. I'll hold him back. You guys go and kill young Master Wind Snow. An expert from the Blazing Fire Villa furiously roared. He knew that he was going to die here today. However, for the Blazing Fire Villa, they had to kill young Master Wind Snow even if they had to die. At the very least, they had to use the Snow Wind token. However, this 9th-level human body disaster expert who threatened to hold back Yi Xian seemed to be overestimating himself. Eye of Illusion. Burning Eye. Eye of Nirvana. Cold Sky Slash. Yi Xian's attack was both physical and mental. This person couldn't even block the first wave of attacks and was instantly cut in half by the Cold Sky Slash. The Cold Sky Slash was originally of the ice attribute. In this snowy mountain, its might increased by a bit. In the blink of an eye, this overconfident 9th-level human body disaster expert had died under Yi Xian's Cold Sky Slash. His entire body had been split into 2 halves, his wounds completely frozen and no blood could flow out. When the other 2 saw this, they immediately gritted their teeth and attacked Mr. Wind Snow. You can't kill the people I want to protect. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. I have Nirvana. Disintegration Eye. Cold Sky Slash. After another round of attacks, another expert of the 9th level of human body disaster fell. As for the remaining person, he had already launched an attack at young Master Wind Snow. Snow Wind Sword Technique. Raging Fire Saber Technique. 2 streams of true energy, 1 ice, 1 fire, collided with each other. Although young Master Snow Wind's cultivation had fallen to human body disaster, he was still very strong. Blocking this sword strike was not a problem for him. Bang! In the night sky, a red and blue flower bloomed. Young Master Feng Shui's full-powered sword strike had resolved his own crisis. At the same time, it also bought Yi Xian some time. Die. Yi Xian's eyes flickered as he sent out a Cold Sky Slash that contained Minute Realm Sword momentum. Rip. A series of crisp sounds were heard as the last expert of the Blazing Fire Village fell to the ground. His head fell to the ground with a plop sound. However, not a single drop of blood splashed out from his wound. Now, 5 9th-level human body disaster experts had all been killed by Yi Xian. This strength could be considered top-notch within the inner sect of the Blood Rock sect. Excluding those disciples of true energy disaster, he was already an invincible existence. Seeing that the 5 people who were chasing him had all died in front of him, young Master Wind Snow breathed a sigh of relief. Just now he had used all his strength to send out that sword strike. Now he was completely exhausted and could not even hold his sword tightly. Thank you for your help. I will definitely reward you greatly. Young Master Wind Snow thanked. In fact, he was still a little scared. In this chaotic world, killing people to steal treasures was obvious. At this moment he could not even use the Snow Wind command. If Yi Xian had made a move at this moment, he would have died without a doubt. However, for some reason Yi Xian did not want to kill young Master Wind Snow. After collecting the remaining 3 spatial rings, Yi Xian turned his head and asked, I heard that you are a true energy disaster expert. How did you get poisoned? I came across a village that was in trouble. So, I killed the rampaging transcendent utmost exalted divine beast. However, unexpectedly the villagers poisoned my water. I was not paying attention and... Young Master Wind Snow slowly said. When mentioning this matter, he was so ashamed that he wanted to bang his head against a wall and commit suicide. A true energy disaster expert was actually poisoned so easily. If other people were to know about this, they would definitely laugh their heads off. After hearing this, Xian also confirmed that this young Master Wind Snow had a good character. It was not in vain that he saved him. As for the poison, it must have been done by the people from the Raging Fire Villa. The villagers were just used. Perhaps, even the rampaging Supreme Saint Beast was deliberately released by the people from the Raging Fire Villa. Then how are you now? Is your life in danger? Xian asked again. It's fine. I have already taken an antidote. My strength will slowly recover. Young Master Wind Snow said with a pale face, My name is Feng Wuhan. I have yet to ask who you are. Xian, disciple of the Blood Rock sect. Xian slowly replied. Young Master Wind Snow said in astonishment, Brother Yi, your strength is so shocking. Why are you still wearing the outer disciple robes of the Blood Rock sect? I'm just an inner disciple. I'm just doing an inner disciple assessment. Xian said again. This answer gave young Master Wind Snow a fright. How could the Blood Rock sect be so awesome right now? An outer disciple had actually comprehended sword force, and had even jumped several levels to kill 5 9th stage human body disaster experts. One must know that the disciples of the Blood Rock sect had to take a detour when they saw the people from the Snow Wind Villa. However, young Master Wind Snow didn't care so much and hurriedly said, I sincerely request Brother Yi to escort me back to the Snow Wind Villa. I will definitely reward you handsomely. Where is the Snow Wind Villa? Xian asked. It's on the other side of the 10,000-layer snow mountain. According to Brother Ye's speed, you will only need 2 days to escort me back. Young Master Wind Snow replied. 2 days? Xian did some calculations in his heart. He spent a day to come here. If he spent another 2 days to send young Master Wind Snow back, it wouldn't be a problem. After all, he still had the eyes of the void. All right. Xian immediately nodded. The Snow Wind Villa was very powerful. It was several times stronger than the Blood Rock sect. As the young Villa Master of the Snow Wind Villa, young Master Wind Snow's reward for saving his life was definitely not cheap. In fact, Xian was interested in the Snow Wind token. However, his attack power was already very strong. Moreover, for some reason he didn't kill young Master Wind Snow. After all, people outside didn't bring many things with them. Chapter 968. If Xian had killed Xian to steal his treasure, young Master Wind Snow's corpse would probably be in his interspatial ring. Next, Xian escorted the poisoned young Master Wind Snow out of the myriad-layer snow mountain. Brother Yi, do you have any relatives in the Blood Rock sect? Young Master Wind Snow suddenly asked when the two left the myriad-layer snow mountain. At this time he had already regained some mobility. I have one. Xian nodded. Lulua was his relative. With your aptitude, staying in the Blood Rock sect is too unfair. Why don't you bring him to my Wind Snow Manor after this? Young Master Wind Snow turned to look at Xian. Hearing this, Xian's body trembled. Was this openly poaching from the Blood Rock sect? However, this was the reason why he saved young Master Wind Snow. The Blood Rock sect was a foul place, so he felt that he couldn't stay there any longer. Wind Snow Manor was highly praised and was much stronger than the Blood Rock sect. It was a good place to go. Xian was waiting for young Master Wind Snow to recruit him. Otherwise, why would he let him stay until now? Although he still had the eye of control, young Master Wind Snow was an expert of true energy disaster. After being poisoned, although his body was in a weakened state, his mind was still not something that Xian could control. Xian paused and pretended to think. After a while, he said, Since it's like this, I'll escort you back first and then bring my sister here. That's great. Young Master Wind Snow's eyes lit up. He didn't expect that he would be able to recruit a genius so easily. A super genius who was able to kill a 9th-level human body disaster expert when he was only at 5th-level human body disaster. Although it was a sneak attack, even an 8th-level human body disaster expert would not be able to kill a 9th-level human body disaster expert so easily. Xian's qualities were good in all aspects, comparable to young Master Wind Snow's brother. That was why young Master Wind Snow wanted to recruit him. One must know that the entrance requirement of Wind Snow Manor was 6th-level human body disaster, which was equivalent to the inner sect of the Blood Rock sect. However, just as Xian and Child Wind Snow left the myriad snowy mountain, a person happened to rush towards the entrance of the myriad snowy mountain. Xian stopped and turned his head to look. He saw a person wearing the uniform of a Blood Rock sect inner disciple running towards him. His eyes narrowed slightly as he guessed in his heart. Just now the people from the Blazing Fire Village just happened to pass by. Now this person was probably here to deal with him. Brother Yi, are they looking for you? Young Master Wind Snow asked. No, they're here to kill me. Yi Xian shook his head. Hearing this, young Master Wind Snow trembled. By the time Yi Xian finished speaking, the inner disciple had already arrived in front of Yi Xian. At the same time, Yi Xian already knew his cultivation level. 9th grade human body disaster. Yi Xian looked at the young man and the corners of his mouth curled up. Senior brother Guoqiao, right? Guoqiao was Guoliang's half-brother, elder Yang Zhen's son. The young man in front of him wearing the uniform of a Blood Rock sect inner disciple looked somewhat similar to Guoliang. That was why Yi Xian guessed. You're smart. The young man revealed a sinister smile. He glanced at Child Wind Snow beside Yi Xian and revealed a strange expression. What made him feel strange was that Yi Xian actually knew a 9th grade human body disaster expert. This was beyond his expectations. However, he did not know Child Wind Snow. He only knew that the pale-faced Child Wind Snow was very weak at the moment and seemed to be seriously injured. Therefore he did not take him seriously. Senior brother Guoqiao, you're here to avenge senior brother Guoliang, right? Yi Xian asked. That's right. I heard that before the inner disciple assessment, that trash of a younger brother was beaten up by you. Although I don't want to take action, he is still my younger brother. If you hit him, it's the same as hitting my face. Guoqiao said indifferently. Hearing this, Yi Xian silently took out his heaven-shaking sword. Since that's the case, why don't you take action? That's right. Why should I waste my breath with you? After being reminded by Yi Xian, Guoqiao also took out his weapon. In order to prevent this matter from being exposed, he also put Child Wind Snow beside Yi Xian on his kill list. This time he would have more income. However, he really did not come at the right time. Yi Xian had just broken through and even the experts of the Blazing Fire Villa had died at his hands. What was Guoqiao to him? Kid, go to hell. Guoqiao did not say anything else and directly charged forward. He knew that Yi Xian was very strong, but he was a 9th grade human body disaster expert. After crossing another shackle, he would be an expert of true energy disaster. Could it be that he could not even deal with Yi Xian? However, he was wrong. It's almost 12. It's better to come at the right time than to come early. Yi Xian's eyes shone brightly. In the next moment, the heaven-shaking sword split into hundreds of sword images. 10,000 swords returned to origin. Hundreds of heaven-shaking swords swept towards Guoqiao. What? Guoqiao's body fiercely trembled. His first reaction was that Yi Xian had used an illusion on him. However, it did not matter if it was an illusion or not. In the blink of an eye, he was surrounded by the heaven-shaking swords. Rip, rip, rip. Crisp sounds rang out. Guoqiao, a 9th grade human body disaster genius of the Blood Rock sect, was instantly torn apart by the 10,000 swords returned to origin. Plop. Pieces of flesh fell to the ground. It was as if a rain of blood was falling from the sky. Child Wind Snow was stunned when he saw this scene. Just now, even he thought that the hundreds of sword images were an illusion. He did not expect that it was actually real. The sword images from the weapon could actually materialize. What kind of technique was this? If he was at his peak, he could have dodged it. However, even if he grew 100 legs now, he would not be able to escape the pursuit of the 10,000 swords returned to origin. At this time, Child Wind Snow was thinking about his recruitment just now. He was really too good at judging people. He actually recruited such a powerful genius for the Wind Snow Villa. After Guoqiao died, Yi Xian walked over and picked up his interspatial ring. Unfortunately, like the 5 people of the Raging Fire Villa, there were not many things in the interspatial ring. Brother Yi, your strength is really... Child Wind Snow did not know what words to use to describe Yi Xian. Even if he was only at 9th grade human body disaster, he was afraid that he would not be able to defeat Yi Xian. Yi Xian just smiled and then directly grabbed Child Wind Snow and continued on their way. If he had a void positioning system in the Wind Snow Villa, he could directly break through the void and send Child Wind Snow back. However, he had never been to the Wind Snow Villa, so he could only walk. Child Wind Snow was poisoned before, but after more than a day of treatment, he had also recovered to true energy disaster. Chapter 969. Yi Xian also understood that young Master Wind Snow did not want him to bear the name of a traitor, so he wanted to gather experts and directly go to the Blood Rock sect to ask for Luo Luo. The Blood Rock sect was still not a match for the Wind Snow Villa, not to mention that they only wanted 2 people. Yi Xian did not care. He could go back to the Blood Rock sect and take Luo Luo away now, but since young Master Wind Snow suggested it, he could only agree. In fact, he wanted to see a scene, which was the scene of the Blood Rock sect's upper echelons being shocked. If the upper echelons of the Blood Rock sect knew that he had comprehended sword force and killed the 9th-grade human body disaster as easily as cutting tofu, their expressions would be very interesting. Okay, thank you very much. Yi Xian thanked him. Then he parted ways with young Master Wind Snow and directly broke through the void and returned to the Blood Rock sect. Just now he had already talked to Luo Luo, and Luo Luo also supported going to the Wind Snow Villa. The journey from the Wind Snow Villa to the Blood Rock sect was about 2 or 3 days, so Yi Xian stayed here and waited quietly for 2 or 3 days. But before that he still had to inform Dong Xing. After all, he was still Dong Xing's nominal disciple. Huh? Yi Xian, you're back so soon? Dong Xing said in surprise when he saw Yi Xian. Logically speaking, Yi Xian should have gone out to do the inner sect assessment mission. Why did he appear in the Blood Rock sect? Master, I won't enter the inner sect. Yi Xian replied. Nonsense. After hearing this, Dong Xing immediately said sternly, that day when you defeated Guo Liang, Elder Yang Jin disregarded the past and wanted to accept you as a disciple, but you refused. Now you're telling me that you won't enter the inner sect. What's going on? The Blood Rock sect is a little chaotic, and I met young Master Wind Snow outside yesterday. Young Master Wind Snow invited me to the Wind Snow Villa. Yi Xian replied. In fact, Dong Xing also felt the chaotic atmosphere. But when he heard the second half of Yi Xian's words, he immediately sat up straight and said, Wait, who did you just say? Young Master Wind Snow? Yes, teacher. I coincidentally encountered the poison young Master Feng Shui and saved his life. Therefore, I want to bring my sister to the Wind Snow Villa. Master, why don't you come with us? Yi Xian nodded. Saved young Master Feng Shui? Dong Xing swallowed his saliva. He couldn't believe it. The Windy Snow Villa was not something that the Blood Rock sect could contend with. If Yi Xian went to the Windy Snow Villa, he would definitely be in a much better position than the Blood Rock sect. The Wind Snow Manor has a good character, but they have a grudge with the Raging Flames Manor. You need to know this. Dong Xing said, as for Master, forget it. Master's relatives are all in the Blood Rock sect. Furthermore, he has lived in the Blood Rock sect for so many years. It's not suitable. Since Dong Xing had rejected him, Yi Xian didn't say anything else. Dong Xing was over 70 years old and had grown up in the Blood Rock sect. It was not easy for him to climb to the position of Outer Sect Hall Elder with his own strength. Now that he was asked to change places, he was naturally not used to it. Then Yi Xian returned to his residence. His residence had already been rebuilt. Now he was waiting for the people from the Windy Snow Manor to come. Soon 3 days passed. During these 3 days Yi Xian stayed quietly. He estimated that the people from the Windy Snow Manor would arrive soon. However, on the afternoon of the 3rd day, clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, many people surrounded Yi Xian's courtyard. Yi Xian opened the door and walked over in surprise. How dare you kill your fellow disciple? Capture him. A loud shout spread. Yi Xian looked over and found that it was the middle-aged elder who had arrived that day. At the same time, there was a team of inner-sect law enforcement disciples. Before Yi Xian could speak, several law enforcement disciples rushed forward and prepared to capture him. Yi Xian naturally would not be captured so easily, so he quickly moved back. What are you doing? Yi Xian shouted angrily. Don't you know what I'm doing? You killed your fellow disciples. Why don't you plead guilty? The middle-aged elder shouted coldly. Killing his fellow disciples? Yi Xian's eyes flashed. Except for Guo Chao, Zhao Yi, and the others, he did not kill any other disciples of the Blood Rock sect. Could it be that Guo Chao's body had been found? Elder, who did I kill? Yi Xian asked tentatively. The bodies of Zhao Yi, Wang Pang, and the others who went missing a few days ago have been found. Beside their bodies, there was an identity token of yours. The middle-aged elder threw a token over, on which Yi Xian's information was engraved. Yi Xian glanced at it and found his token in the devouring system. He immediately took it out and said, Here's my identity token. Don't try to quibble. You entrusted the disciples of the Hall of Experience to create new identity tokens. Come with me to the Hall of Justice and wait for interrogation. The middle-aged elder said sternly. The Hall of Justice was a place that struck fear in the hearts of all in the Blood Rock sect. If an inner sect disciple committed a crime and was sent to the Hall of Justice, even if they did not die, they would be skinned alive. However, Yi Xian was not an inner sect disciple yet. Elder, I'm not an inner sect disciple yet. Yi Xian reminded him. Although he had killed the Snow Mountain ape, he did not complete the mission. When Yang Zhen found out that he had returned, she thought that Guo had not found him, so she colluded with the middle-aged elder to frame him. As long as you're a disciple of the sect, I have the right to punish you. If you dare resist, I'll kill you on the spot. The middle-aged elder looked like he was about to attack. At the same time, Yi Xian had Luo quickly ask Guoliang, and had already received a reply. Young master, Guoliang said that master sent someone to frame you, but the body was not found. Luo hurriedly transmitted. Something had happened in the Blood Rock Giant's mine that day, so it was sealed off. Zhao Yi and the others who had been killed by Yi Xian were buried in the Blood Rock mine. Their bodies had probably been smashed into minced meat long ago. All right, then tell Guoliang to go to the Inner Sect Hall of Justice and testify for me when the time comes. Yi Xian replied through the air. It seemed that he could not avoid this calamity. Fortunately, he had Guoliang under control. When the time came, he could directly come out and testify, and it would definitely shock the others. It would definitely be very interesting to see his own son testify that his mother had framed him. All right, I'll go with you. Yi Xian nodded. At least you know what's good for you. The middle-aged elder snorted coldly. If Yi Xian dared to resist, he really would use this opportunity to kill Yi Xian on the spot. That would save him a lot of trouble. After that, Yi Xian was surrounded by this group of people and sent to the Hall of Justice. There were already more than 100 disciples following him. This brat is in trouble. He actually dared to kill his fellow disciples. I'm afraid he'll be executed immediately. I saw him violently beat up Senior Guoliang that day. He's quite strong, but I didn't expect him to be such a vicious and merciless person, killing his fellow disciples. If this kind of person lived with us, who knows when he would kill us. I heard that Elder Yang Zhen is also an elder of the Inner Sect Hall of Justice. This brat is dead meat. Chapter 970. Soon Yi Xian was escorted to the Inner Sect's Law Enforcement Hall. There were a total of 300 law enforcement disciples and 3 law enforcement elders in the Law Enforcement Hall. The law enforcement disciples would deal with the minor mistakes committed by the Blood Cliff Sect disciples, but the 3 law enforcement elders would preside over the major mistakes. When Yi Xian entered the law enforcement hall, he found that there were already many people sitting inside. There were law enforcement disciples and 2 law enforcement elders, one of whom was Yang Zhen. After seeing Yi Xian, Yang Zhen's eyes flashed, revealing a fierce expression. She could not understand why Guo, who was at the 9th level of human body disaster, had failed and had not returned yet. Therefore she could only do it herself. Of course, if she knew that Guo had been dismembered by Yi Xian, she would probably attack and kill Yi Xian on the spot. What a big lineup. Yi Xian walked in calmly. Kneel. Yang Zhen shouted angrily. However, she was unexpectedly ignored by Yi Xian. Yi Xian glanced at her and said straightforwardly, Elder Yang, there needs to be evidence for everything. An identity token does not mean anything. If the token beside the corpses is Elder Yang's elder token, does that mean that Elder Yang killed them? Impudent. Before he could finish his words, the middle-aged elder behind him shouted angrily, What the hell? Am I wrong? Yi Xian's lips curled slightly as he continued, In addition, I want to see them if they are alive, and their corpses if they are dead. May I ask where the corpses of Senior Brother Zhao and the others are? The corpses have already been buried. Could it be that you suspect that we colluded to frame you? The middle-aged elder walked to Yang Zhen's side and sat down. The 3 law enforcement elders were all in place. There were dozens of law enforcement disciples on either side of Yi Xian. However, these law enforcement disciples were only there for show. If the law enforcement elders were to speak, they would not dare to have any objections. That is possible. Yi Xian directly said, First, there are no corpses. Second, there are no witnesses. Third, an identity token alone cannot prove anything. After all, it can be forged. If an identity token alone can be used as conclusive evidence, it would be too easy to frame someone else. 3 elders with just this, you can convict me? The law enforcement disciples outside the law enforcement hall nodded silently after hearing this. They were not stupid and there were too many suspicious points. Not only that, but also the surrounding law enforcement disciples were the same. The weakest of them was at the 7th level of human body disaster, while the stronger ones were at the 8th or 9th level human body disaster. People who could cultivate to this level were definitely not fools. Lian Cheng was the leader of the 10 disciples that day. At that time Yi Xian wanted to kill him, but he was blocked by a foot that suddenly fell from the sky, allowing Lian Cheng to run away. Although the collapse of the Blood Rock mine had caused many casualties, Lian Cheng and the other 2 managed to escape. Oh. Yi Xian was slightly surprised. That day he had returned first to report to Dongxing. He did not expect that Lianqing would not receive any punishment, and the matter would be covered up. Not only that Zhao Yi had violated the sect's rules and was dealt with by Guoliang. That was why Yi Xian said that the Blood Rock sect was in a foul atmosphere and that they could not stay here. Very quickly, 3 familiar figures entered Yi Xian's eyes. They were Lianqing, who was at the 6th level of human body disaster, and the other 2 outer sect disciples, who were at the 5th level of human body disaster. However, the moment Yi Xian saw them, 3 system notifications rang out. Ding. Control successful. Ding. Control successful. Ding. Control successful. The 3 were instantly controlled by Yi Xian in front of everyone's eyes. But this was nothing. After all, Guoliang had been controlled by Yi Xian in front of thousands of people, and no one had discovered it. Lianqing, tell us everything one by one. Let everyone hear it. The middle-aged elder said to Lianqing. Unexpectedly, Lianqing and the other 2 looked at each other and said, Elder, what is it? This answer stunned the middle-aged elder. He hurriedly said, That day didn't you see Yi Xian killing Zhao Yi Wangpang and the others? No. Zhao Yi Wangpang and the others were crushed to death in the Blood Rock mine because of the appearance of the Blood Rock giant. Only the 3 of us escaped. Moreover, we did not see junior brother Yi that day. Lianqing said solemnly. When these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Did not see? What did you say? That was not what you said yesterday. Yang Zhen suddenly stood up and shouted angrily, Don't worry. With the 3 of us here, he will not dare to do anything to you. You only need to tell us the truth. Elder Yang, yesterday you came to me and wanted to frame junior brother Yi for the deaths of Zhao Yi Wangpang and the others. Just now we felt that we could not do so we corrected ourselves. Junior brother Yi is innocent. Lianqing said with cupped fists. Wow. Following those words, the surrounding law enforcement disciples and the others outside were all astonished. Of course, the most shocked were Yang Zhen and the other 2 law enforcement elders. What's going on? Is Elder Yang Zhen trying to frame Yi Xian? Is this revenge? A few days ago, Elder Yang Zhen wanted to take Yi Xian as her disciple. I thought she was a righteous person. So this is what happened. This Lianqing was first bribed and now he suddenly changed sides. Feels a little strange. The disciples discussed animatedly. Lianqing and the other 2 were witnesses, and they were called by the law enforcement elders. Now Lianqing suddenly said that Yang Zhen wanted to frame Yi Xian. The script was not right. Very well, you all actually joined forces to frame me. You are all courting death. Yang Zhen was flustered and exasperated. However, at this moment, a black-clad elder beside her said, Elder Yang, there must be something fishy going on. Someone must be trying to harm you. An elder framing an outer court disciple was a rare occurrence, so one could not make a conclusion based on just 1 or 2 sentences. However, these 3 law enforcement elders were also aware of Yi Xian's methods. No wonder he came in so confidently. It turned out that he had a trump card. However, they did not understand. When did Lianqing collude with Yi Xian? Since this matter has nothing to do with this disciple will take his leave first. Yi Xian finished speaking and turned to leave. Stop right there. Yang Zhen said sternly. She did not believe that this matter had nothing to do with Yi Xian. Elder Yang, is there anything else? Yi Xian turned to look at Yang Zhen. I think this matter has something to do with you. You must stay and investigate, Yang Zhen said angrily. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly rushed into the law enforcement hall. This person was Yang Zhen's youngest son, Guoliang. Chapter 971. What is Liang doing here? Yang Zhen frowned. Master, forget it. Junior brother Yi only beat me up. You also said that day that my failure was due to my inferior skills. Why did you have to scheme so meticulously to frame junior brother Yi? Guoliang's words shocked everyone present again. Now, even her own personal disciple had accused her of framing Yi Xian. What else could Yang Zhen say? What nonsense are you spouting? Yang Zhen was suddenly enraged. She could not understand why Guoliang would suddenly say such words. Did he not know that the consequences of saying such words were very serious? Master, don't be so obstinate. As an elder, harming a disciple is not a small matter. You should turn back from the wrong path. Guoliang's words fell into everyone's ears. There were already quite a few people who believed him. After all, a disciple would not be so foolish as to frame an elder. Yang Zhen had seen Yi Xian beat Guoliang up with her own eyes. She could not accept it, so she wanted to get rid of Yi Xian. This was her motive. Elder Yang, the black-clothed elder looked at Yang Zhen. Originally they had planned to convict Yi Xian and then pay with their lives. But now the scapegoat was actually thrown to Yang Zhen. Yang Zhen also did not recover. She looked at Guoliang. The latter was her own son, but he actually did such a thing to her. She could not understand this. Charm, it must be like this. Guoliang and the others were charmed by Luo Luo. At this time Yang Zhen suddenly thought of something. Luo Luo was from the Fox Charm clan. She was born with the ability to charm people, so she guessed that Guoliang, Lian Cheng and the others were all charmed by Luo Luo. However, Luo Luo had just broken through to the second layer of human body disaster. How could she charm Guoliang, who was at the seventh layer of human body disaster? Moreover, if Guoliang was charmed with her realm, she should have discovered it immediately. Since it was not Luo Luo, then it must be Yi Xian. You bastard, you dare to control my disciple? You're courting death. Yang Zhen suddenly exploded, throwing a punch at Yi Xian. This punch was unstoppable. It was enough to kill a 9th layer human body disaster expert. Master, no. Guoliang suddenly shot forward and stood in front of Yi Xian. Bang. Before he could finish his sentence, Guoliang was struck by a punch. His heart instantly shattered, and Yi Xian was also sent flying out of the law enforcement hall by Guoliang's body. The incident happened so suddenly, but everyone around them knew that it was Guoliang who had stepped forward to take the hit, not Yi Xian who had grabbed Guoliang as a shield. Guoliang and Yi Xian, who had been sent flying, fell to the ground. The former was no longer breathing, while the latter spat out a mouthful of blood and quickly got up from the ground. Elder Yang, you're so vicious. How dare you try to kill me? Yi Xian shouted angrily in front of everyone. Yang Zhen had not expected Guoliang to suddenly block the attack for Yi Xian. Now that she had killed her own son, she immediately charged towards Yi Xian. I will kill you. Yang Zhen was already in a rage. Not good. The middle-aged elder and the black-clothed elder glanced at each other, then hurried forward to stop her. This situation had to be controlled. If Yang Zhen killed Yi Xian, then the Blood Rock sect would lose a lot of face. At that time, who would want to join the Blood Rock sect? The disciples were the future of the Blood Rock sect. If this matter were to spread, then the number of disciples in the Blood Rock sect would grow smaller and smaller. Fortunately, the middle-aged elder and the black-clothed elder still had some brains and immediately restrained Yang Zhen. You two scram. Yang Zhen roared. Elder Yang, you can't keep making mistakes. The middle-aged elder shouted. As the 3 true energy disaster experts exchanged blows, the law enforcement disciples in the law enforcement hall immediately retreated. However, what was helpless was that Yang Zhen had already lost her rationality. Her attacks were merciless and even affected several law enforcement disciples, causing them to lose their lives. Unjust deeds bring about self-destruction. Yi Xian snorted coldly and immediately turned to leave. The surrounding disciples had already hidden far away. They could understand Yi Xian's behavior. After all, Yi Xian had become Yang Zhen's must-kill person. If he didn't run and the 2 law enforcement elders couldn't stop Yang Zhen, then wouldn't he be dead? Originally, Yi Xian was prepared to wait for the people of Blizzard Manor, but now it seemed that he had to leave with Luo Luo. Luo Luo, let's go. Yi Xian hurriedly transmitted to Luo Luo. Immediately Yi Xian rushed toward Luo Luo's residence. As long as he could pick her up, then he would directly break through the void and leave the Blood Rock sect. Young master, how is it? Luo Luo asked as she leaned toward Yi Xian. Yang Zhen killed Guoliang and is now in a berserk state. She wants to kill me, Yi Xian explained. Then he saw Luo Luo and quickly hid her in the storage space. But at this moment, a figure suddenly flew towards him at high speed. What? The 2 law enforcement elders didn't stop her? Yi Xian turned his head in shock. When he found that it was actually Yang Zhen, he was immediately shocked. He had heard a little about Yang Zhen's strength. Yang Zhen was only at the 1st layer of true energy disaster, the lowest level of true energy disaster. But for some reason the other elders were afraid of her. Even the elders at the 2nd layer of true energy disaster were afraid of her. Just as he was about to break through the void, a notification suddenly sounded. Ding. Host has triggered a random mission. Kill Yang Zhen. Reward, Beast God Bloodline Advancement Route 1 Opportunity. A random mission unexpectedly appeared at this time. This was something that Yi Xian never expected. He was only at the 6th layer of human body disaster. If he wanted to kill Yang Zhen, it wouldn't be that easy. However, as long as he killed Yang Zhen, then he could once again increase the Beast God Bloodline's Agility Advancement Route. The heavens are watching. Since you want to kill me, then I'll kill you first. Yi Xian roared in his heart. This time he was filled with killing intent. Although Yang Zhen was Lolua's master, so what? Cold Sky / Eye of Nirvana. At that moment Yi Xian retreated while launching an attack. If he wanted to defeat Yang Zhen, he needed to find an open space. Coincidentally, the martial arts arena was very suitable. Bastard, go to hell. Yang Zhen was already blinded by hatred. If it weren't for Yi Xian, how could she kill her own son with her own hands? Pung? Two muffled sounds rang out. Yi Xian's two attacks were easily defeated by Yang Zhen. Although she was only at the first layer of true energy disaster, she was still 5 layers higher than Yi Xian. Her attack was definitely not something that Yi Xian could defend against with his current strength. Xiao. Xiao. 2 sword beams swept out. Yi Xian hastily dodged them. There is indeed a huge gap. Even sword force is unable to make up for it. Fortunately, she hasn't comprehended sword force. Otherwise I would be in trouble. Chapter 972. Sword force was something that relied on talent. Of course, a large part of it was also luck. Yang Zhen had already broken through to true energy disaster, but she had yet to comprehend the minute subtlety sword force, so her strength was not very strong. Now Yi Xian understood that the 2 law-enforcing elders had purposely let Yang Zhen leave so that they could chase after him. What exactly was Yang Zhen's background? At this moment Yi Xian had already stepped into the training field. In order to complete this random mission he had to reveal his trump card. Doppelganger Wei Zhentian. When he flashed onto the largest arena in the training field, he split into 2 and Wei Zhentian suddenly soared into the sky. Unfortunately Luolua's cultivation was too low, so she could not help. This old woman actually wants to kill young master. She's really not a good person. Young master, don't show mercy later. Luolua's voice rang in Yi Xian's mind. Yi Xian bitterly smiled in his heart. Even if Luoluo did not say it, he would not have held back. Bastard, it's all because of you that Lianger died. Now, I will take revenge for Lianger. Yang Zhen roared and attacked again. A true energy disaster expert could fight against 10 9th layer human body disaster experts, but Yi Xian was not to be trifled with. He directly attacked. Cold Sky Slash. I have Illusion. Burning Eye. I have Nirvana. Yi Xian's original body and doppelganger also revealed their trump cards. Not only that, he also used a trump card that he had not used for a long time. In an instant, the corpses in the devouring space disappeared, and his strength instantly increased by 60%. Beast King Rampage. The number of corpses consumed by Beast King Rampage would increase with the number of times it was used in the realm. Currently, Yi Xian was at 6th layer human body disaster, so he had consumed a lot of corpses. Some of these corpses were killed by him, but most of them were from the 5 people of Raging Flames Manor. In addition, the Beast God bloodline could evolve 4 times, so Yi Xian's current physique was comparable to 7th layer human body disaster. Although it could only increase the gap, Yi Xian only had 1 true killing move. Die. After being hit by Yi Xian's various mental attacks, Yang Zhen roared. She endured the pain and slashed at Yi Xian with all her might. At the same time, the heaven-shocking sword had already split into 100 sword shadows. Return of the 10,000 swords. The appearance of over 100 heaven-shocking swords also caused Yang Zhen's mind to tremble. Just now, Yi Xian's Eye of Illusion was useless against her, but when she saw these 100 heaven-shocking swords, her first reaction was also an illusion. However, she soon realized that this was not an illusion but a real attack. More than 100 heaven-quake swords, all of which contained sword energy. No one in the human body disaster realm would be able to block them. However, Yang Zhen had already broken through to true energy disaster, and her true energy had undergone a qualitative leap. Relying on her movement technique, she forcefully pulled away from the 100 heaven-quake swords. 10,000 swords return to origin was Yi Xian's killer move. It could only be used once a day and the cooldown would be reset after midnight. Last time he used the 10,000 swords return to origin to deal with Guoqiao, and this time he used it to deal with Yang Zhen. This bastard actually comprehended sword energy and even knows illusions, mental attacks and puppets. Just where did he come from? Yang Zhen couldn't help but think to herself. Although she was astonished, she did not have time to think about it. This 10,000 swords return to origin gave her a huge headache. She had to go around this group of heaven-quake swords and kill Yi Xian. However, this was not so easy. Cold Sky Slash. I have Nirvana. When Yi Xian saw that the Eye of Illusion and Burning Eyes were not very effective against Yang Zhen, he immediately chose to give up. In the end, material attacks were still more effective. Yi Xian's main body and doppelganger continuously attacked. Wei Zhentian automatically controlled his brothers, causing quite a bit of trouble for Yang Zhen. Yang Zhen had already been in the training field for 4 to 5 seconds, but in these 4 to 5 seconds she was actually unable to get close to Yi Xian. Instead she was being chased by Yi Xian. Let's see how long you can last. Yang Zhen stopped attacking and focused on dodging. However, as a true energy disaster expert, she was actually unable to do anything to Yi Xian. This was simply humiliating. Her current plan was to stall for time. However, Yi Xian wanted to quickly kill her. I can't delay any longer. If I delay any longer, the experts of the Blood Rock sect will arrive. I have to end this quickly. Yi Xian's eyes flickered as he gave Wei Zhentian an order in his heart. 10,000 swords returned to origin, spiritual sword formation. In the next moment, the group of swords dancing in the sky suddenly expanded. The Heaven Quake swords transformed into giant swords and then crashed down on Yang Zhen. Boom. 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 One by one, the giant swords descended. What? Yang Zhen jumped in fright and hurriedly dodged. However, because there were too many giant swords, she directly fell into the group of giant swords. Boom. 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 One by one, the giant swords fell from various angles. Some were as straight as a mountain peak, while others were slanted. In less than a second, Yang Zhen was trapped within. She was surrounded by giant swords that shook the heavens. Furthermore, the swords were at tricky angles. The largest hole was only the size of a wash basin. She was trapped and could not escape. However, Yi Xian could use these holes to attack Yang Zhen. Eye of Nirvana. Eye of Dissection. Yi Xian's original body and clone attacked from the left and right. From the beginning until now, he hadn't used the Eye of Dissection. Now that the Eye of Nirvana was used as a cover for the Eye of Dissection, Yang Zhen would definitely be hit. Bang! The Eye of Nirvana exploded on the giant swords. The powerful shockwave shook Yang Zhen's long hair, making her look like a crazy woman. Yang Zhen raised her hands and blocked with the long sword in her hand. However, in the next moment, the dissection ray swept in. Sizzle. Sizzle. Yang Zhen's supreme spiritual treasure and her back were hit at the same time. In front of her eyes, the supreme spiritual treasure actually started to turn into powder and was blown away by the wind. Her back was the same. The intense pain caused her to cry out in pain. To think that she, a true energy disaster expert, was actually put in such a state by Yi Xian. The latter's strength was enough to make her take him seriously. However, at this moment, her escape route was sealed by the spiritual sword array. She couldn't even burrow into the ground. She was completely trapped in the spiritual sword array like a bird in a cage. See if I don't kill you? Yi Xian's eyes flickered. He constantly changed his angle and used the supreme spiritual treasure in his hand to stab at the holes. As long as he found an opportunity, he would directly use the Eye of Dissection. As long as he hit Yang Zhen's head, even if she didn't die, she would be crippled. The return of 10,000 swords lasted for more than 10 seconds. Only a few seconds had passed. With the remaining time, Yi Xian could definitely kill her. Bastard, you dare to kill me? Chapter 973. Why are you still spouting such nonsense? If I kill you, I'll be able to advance my agility to 9 points and increase my movement speed by 10%. Yi Xian snorted coldly in his heart. There were a total of 8 holes in the spiritual sword array. He and his clone kept moving back and forth, tormenting Yang Zhen inside. Her shoulders, calves, and arms were all hit by the disintegration ray. In just a few seconds, Yang Zhen's body was bleeding profusely. If she had not desperately protected her vital parts, she would have died long ago. Due to the huge difference in their realms, the effect of the disintegration ray was not very ideal. Just now, only the body of the supreme spiritual treasure was disintegrated. However, Yi Xian estimated that in another 3 seconds, which was when the duration of the return of 10,000 swords was up, he would be able to kill Yang Zhen. However, at this moment, "Stop, you unfilial son." A sudden roar in the sky fell into Yi Xian's ears. His clone glanced around and saw a figure flying towards him rapidly. It was a middle-aged man, but his clothes were not the clothes of an inner sect elder of the Blood Rock sect. Sect Master? Yi Xian was shocked. The Blood Rock sect master's aura was so strong that it made his breathing difficult. His strength was probably more than 10 times that of Yang Zhen. I can't fight him head-on. This was Yi Xian's first reaction. Although he was a little unwilling, Yi Xian knew that if he stayed any longer, he would definitely be killed by the Blood Rock sect master on the spot. Let's go. Yi Xian's eyes flickered as he immediately broke open the void door. However, at this moment, the Blood Rock sect master in the distance suddenly pinched the air. You want to leave? Stay. The Blood Rock sect master shouted. Yi Xian's body trembled. He felt that his original body and clone could not move at all. What kind of technique was this? He hurriedly scanned with the eye of revelation and realized that there was an energy palm holding him firmly. Ding. Copy of the Dragon Catcher Hand successful. Learn. The system prompted. The Dragon Catcher Hand was the signature technique of the Blood Rock Sect Master. It could control people from a distance and was very domineering. However, Yi Xian did not have the time to learn this at the moment. Although he had used Beast King's Rampage, the 60% increase in strength was not enough to allow him to break free from the shackles of this giant hand. It's over. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and his expression turned gloomy. He quickly called Wei Zhentian over to help. In another second, the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect would arrive. At that time he would definitely die. Unfilial son, how dare you injure people in my Blood Rock sect? You're courting death. As expected, the sect master of the Bloodstone sect had still managed to make it in time. However, Yi Xian was still unable to break free from the shackles of the dragon capturing hand. Looks like he's going to be in for a tragedy this time. Wei Zhentian was summoned by Yi Xian and was about to undo the restraints on his body. However, he was still unable to break free. Thus, Xianxia also obtained her freedom. I'll kill you. Xianxia let out an explosive shout as she launched an attack towards Yi Xian, who didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken. Stop. The sect master of Bloodstone sect's eyes flashed as he hurriedly blocked the attack. What are you doing? He killed your son. Xianxia subconsciously shouted. This sentence also caused Yi Xian to tremble. Guoliang was the son of the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect? Now Yi Xian finally understood why Xianxia was able to do as she pleased in the Bloodstone sect. So it was because of the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect. It was no wonder that all the elders were afraid of her. The one who killed Guoliang wasn't him, it was you. The sect leader of the Bloodstone sect looked at Yi Xian with a cold expression. Originally he wanted to kill Yi Xian on the spot. However, after seeing Xianxia's miserable state, he suddenly changed his mind. He knew a technique to control people. As long as he could control Yi Xian, then the Bloodstone sect would flourish under Yi Xian's control in the future. One had to know that Yi Xian was only at the 6th grade of human body disaster, yet he was able to force Xianxia, who was at the 1st grade of true energy disaster, into a dead end. Who in the entire Bloodstone sect could do that? I don't care, I'm going to kill him. Xianxia didn't care so much. She raised her hand and attacked again. However, it was still blocked by the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect. Guohua, it's all because of him that Liang died. Xianxia said with bloodshot eyes. Her entire body was covered in blood and countless wounds, making her look like a walking corpse. I already know what happened. If it wasn't for you, how could Guoliang have died? The sect leader of the Bloodstone sect glared. Indeed, if Xianxia hadn't wanted to harm Yi Xian because of her face, Guoliang wouldn't have been used as a shield by Yi Xian. Therefore Guoliang's death was caused by Xianxia. Moreover, she was the one who killed him. Hearing the conversation between the two, Yi Xian only felt that the plot was a little melodramatic. Xianxia's dead husband was surnamed Gua. He didn't expect that the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect would also be surnamed Gua. Therefore Guoliang could legitimately use the sect leader's surname. However, there was no one in the upper echelon of the Bloodstone sect who didn't know about this. They all knew that Guoliang was the son of Xianxia and the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect, which was why they allowed him to do whatever he wanted. However, this wasn't the time to think about this. Yi Xian was thinking about how to break free from the dragon capturing hand. Unfortunately, his strength was too weak and he couldn't do anything at all. This time he was really screwed. His 2 clones might be in danger, but he still had a trump card in his hand. If I knew this would happen, I would have taken Luo and left. That way I wouldn't be in danger. Now, I can only see if the Wind Snow Manor's name is useful. However, the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect might also ignore it. After all, there's no proof. Yi Xian felt very helpless in his heart. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being too greedy. He clearly knew how powerful a true Qi disaster expert was, yet he still wanted to fight head-on. In the end, it dragged on for so long. Now that the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect had personally made a move, he couldn't escape even if he had wings. Not only did he fail to advance, but he also lost 2 lives. The sect leader of the Bloodstone sect said to Xianxia, "Treat your injuries first. Once I control him, you can do whatever you want with him." The latter also understood his methods. Her face darkened as she began to treat her injuries. Immediately after, Yi Xian felt a stabbing pain. It was the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect using a mental attack on him. Oh no, he wants to control me. Yi Xian's expression changed drastically. He wasn't afraid of control-type martial arts, but he was afraid that the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect would kill him after knowing that he couldn't be controlled. How is this possible? My soul assimilating curse has no effect. The sect leader of the Bloodstone sect couldn't believe it. Yi Xian had the Eye of Revelation, so he could copy the soul assimilating curse. However, he had the Eye of Control, so he didn't need such martial arts at all. Moreover, he was now being controlled. This was a moment of life and death, so he didn't have time to care about other things. Unfortunately, Yi Xian couldn't find a solution even after racking his brains. Therefore, he could only show his trump card. Sect leader, perhaps you still don't know, but I'm good friends with Wind Snow Manor's young master Wind Snow, right? Yi Xian finally spoke. As soon as he said that, the sect leader of the Bloodstone sect, Yang Zhen, and the elders and disciples who had just arrived were all shocked. Chapter 974. Humph, you think you can get acquainted with young Master Wind Snow? The Blood Rock sect master clearly did not believe him. Haha. Yi Xian grinned and said, Elder Yang, you sent Guoqiao to kill me, right? Hearing this question, Yang Zhen's heart trembled. She originally thought that Guoqiao had not found Yi Xian. However, if they had not met, how would Yi Xian know about Guoqiao? At that time, young Master Wind Snow fell into the trap of the Raging Flames Villa's experts and was poisoned, causing his realm to fall to the 9th level of human body disaster. Coincidentally, I was doing an assessment mission at the 10,000 Snowy Mountains and saved his life. In order to repay me for saving his life, young Master Wind Snow invited me to the Wind Snow Villa as a guest. Then I met Guoqiao on the way. Yi Xian began to narrate. At this point he suddenly paused, turned his head to look at Yang Zhen and said, Guoqiao doesn't know young Master Wind Snow. He wanted to kill both of us, but unexpectedly he was turned into meat paste by me. What did you say? Hearing this, Yang Zhen immediately exploded, but in the next moment she was stopped by the middle-aged elder. Guoliang was killed by her with her own hands. And Guoqiao, who she sent to kill Yi Xian, was turned into minced meat by Yi Xian. Now that both of her sons were dead, how could she not take revenge? Get out of my way. Yang Zhen exploded again, but with her heavy injuries she was no match for the middle-aged elder and was instantly restrained. Hearing this, the Blood Rock sect master could not help but frown. Guoliang's death was more painful for him. After all, Guoliang was his flesh and blood. However, for the sake of the Blood Rock sect, he had no choice but to leave Yi Xian alive. As for Guoqiao, it did not matter. Guoqiao was only the child of Yang Zhen and her husband. If what Yi Xian said was true, then Yi Xian was young Master Wind Snow's savior. The Blood Rock sect master really did not dare to touch Yi Xian. However, if what Yi Xian said was false, then he deserved to die. How can you prove your words? The sect master of the Blood Rock sect asked carefully. It can't be helped. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. I reckon that the people from Wind Snow Villa will be here soon. You'll know when they arrive, Yi Xian coldly snorted. Hearing this, Yang Zhen immediately shouted, full of nonsense. Guohua, kill him. Shut up. The sect master of Bloodstone sect shouted fiercely. In the eyes of the Wind Snow Manor, the Blood Rock sect was just a small force. If the Wind Snow Manor was compared to the Blood Rock sect, the Wind Snow Manor's strength was at least 10 times that of the Blood Rock sect. The Wind Snow Villa could destroy the Blood Rock sect in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly remembered something and immediately said, Oh right, the corpses of the 5 experts of the Raging Fire Villa are in my interspatial ring. You can take a look at them. Upon hearing this, the elder in black immediately dashed over and removed Yi Xian's interspatial ring. Then, there were 5 horrible corpses in the martial arts field. These 5 people were indeed wearing the uniform of the Raging Fire Villa. Humph, this only proves that you killed the people of the Raging Fire Villa. It can't prove anything else. Guohua, he dares to kill the experts of the Fiery Villa. Hurry up and kill him, or else the Blood Rock sect will face a calamity. Yang Zhen immediately fanned the flames. Right now, what she wanted to do the most was to cut Yi Xian into 1,000 pieces. The sect master of Bloodstone sect's expression changed abruptly when he heard this. Yi Xian actually killed the people of the Raging Fire Villa. If the Raging Fire Villa found out, the Blood Rock sect would be in trouble. He immediately made a decision. Today's matter must not be spread. Elder Chiu, quickly activate the protective mountain array and seal off the mountain gate. The sect master of Bloodstone sect immediately ordered. Seeing this, Yi Xian cursed inwardly. Only now did he realize that he was courting death. If he did not take out the corpses of the 5 experts of the Raging Fire Villa, he might be able to live a little longer. But now, the sect master of Bloodstone sect might kill him immediately. Kid, it seems that I can't let you live. The sect master of Bloodstone sect clenched his right hand, and Yi Xian felt the giant qi hand on his body tighten. Crack. With a crisp sound, Yi Xian's bones were directly crushed. If the sect master of Bloodstone sect had used a little more strength, he would have died. Yi Xian was already prepared to die. At worst, he would make a comeback and destroy the Blood Rock sect. However, at this moment, huff huff huff. The surrounding temperature suddenly dropped by 10 degrees, followed by a violent shout. Who dares to touch him? This voice was very familiar to Yi Xian. It was young Master Feng Shui whom he had saved that day. After hearing this, he seemed to see hope, but he still cursed in his heart. Damn it, why did they have to set up such a formation? They're finally here. The Wind Snow Villa was finally here. When the sect master of Bloodstone sect, who was prepared to crush Yi Xian, heard this, his body trembled violently as he looked at the newcomer. Only 6 people from the Wind Snow Villa came this time. In addition to young Master Feng Shui, there were 5 true energy disaster experts. Among them, 2 of them had auras that were not inferior to the sect master of Bloodstone sect. This was the strength of the Wind Snow Villa. Almost everyone present did not expect that Yi Xian actually knew the young villa master of the Wind Snow Villa, Feng Wuhan. The sect master of Bloodstone sect was also glad that he was a little slower. If he accidentally strangled Yi Xian to death, the Bloodstone sect would be in trouble. After young Master Feng Shui appeared, he immediately used the wind snow movement technique to rush in front of Yi Xian, leaving behind a trail of snowflakes, looking very elegant. Seeing this, the sect master of Bloodstone sect hurriedly let go of Yi Xian. Brother Yi, are you okay? Young Master Feng Shui asked. It's nothing, just a small injury. Yi Xian shook his head. Before young Master Feng Shui appeared, his bones had already been repaired by the bloodline of the Divine Tree of Life. At this time he was in peak condition. Then young Master Feng Shui turned his head to look at the sect master of Bloodstone sect and said, Sect Master Guo's dragon-catching hand is indeed worthy of its reputation. Although it's only an incomplete version, it's still very good. Hearing this, Yi Xian subconsciously glanced at the panel. Dragon-catching hand, incomplete version. Sure enough, it was only an incomplete version. Yi Xian was very fond of this martial art. It could control the enemy from a distance, which was very good. He wondered how powerful the complete version of dragon-catching hand would be. At this time, ding, dragon-catching hand can be repaired. The repair requires martial arts storage. Do you want to repair it? The system suddenly prompted. Martial arts storage? Is it the martial arts that I copied into the devouring system? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and immediately replied, yes. Then he began to choose those martial arts. Once these martial arts were used to repair, he would not be able to learn them again. However, these martial arts were just decorations to him, so Yi Xian directly pulled in all the martial arts. Ding. Dragon catching hand's completion rate reached 5%. The system prompted again. Yi Xian was shocked. He had used up all the martial arts storage but only managed to repair 5%. How advanced was this dragon catching hand? Chapter 975. Young Master Feng Shui. Yi Xian is a disciple of my Blood Rock sect. I have the right to arrest him for harming a fellow disciple. The sect master of Blood Rock sect said to young Master Feng Shui. Harming a fellow disciple? Young Master Feng Shui raised his eyebrows and said, when Yi Xian escorted me back to the Windy Snow Villa, he happened to meet an inner disciple of the Blood Rock sect called Wuxia. He even wanted to kill me. Boom. These words caused the surrounding people to swallow their saliva. They didn't expect that what Yi Xian said just now was actually true. Wuxia is the son of our elder Xianxia. This matter has nothing to do with our sect. The sect master of Blood Rock sect immediately drew the line. Hearing this, Xianxia immediately shouted, Guohua, you're so cruel. Guoliang was also the son of the sect master of Blood Rock sect. However, the sect master of Blood Rock sect was not sad at all after Guoliang's death. Instead, he left Yi Xian behind. However, this was understandable. After all, the sect master of Blood Rock sect had to think for the sect. It was best to push the blame to Xianxia for today's matter. Sect Master Guo, what should you do? Young Master Feng Shui asked with a smile. Elder Xianxia abused her power to frame and harm a disciple of our sect. She will be stripped of her position as an elder and her cultivation will be crippled. The sect master of Blood Rock sect immediately signaled to the middle-aged elder. After receiving the order, the middle-aged elder also punched Elder Xianxia's dantian. The dantian was the third vital point of a human after the brain and heart. However, it was easier to destroy the brain and heart than the dantian. Therefore, most people would target the brain and heart. Bang. Yang Zhen did not react in time and her dantian was instantly shattered. Immediately, her genuine qi flowed out and returned to the world. You. Yang Zhen spat out blood and pointed at the sect master of Blood Rock sect. She did not expect the latter to be so cruel. Seeing that Yang Zhen's cultivation was crippled, young Master Feng Shui nodded in satisfaction and said, "In that case I won't pursue this matter. Today I came to your sect to ask Yi Xian to join our Windy Snow Villa." Sect Master Gua. As long as he agrees, I have no objections. The sect leader of the Blood Rock sect immediately said. At this moment he didn't dare to have any objections. Didn't he see that the Wind Snow Villa had brought an expert over? All right. Young Master Wind Snow nodded and looked at Yi Xian. Then I will leave the Blood Rock sect today and join the Wind Snow Villa, Yi Xian immediately said. The Bloodstone sect master heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. After all, Yi Xian had killed someone from the Blazing Fire Villa. Now that he had joined the Snow Wind Villa, it could be considered a diversion. Yi Xian hoped that the people from the Blazing Fire Villa would not come looking for him. However, this was not safe. He felt that there was a need to restrict the disciples' movements and seal off Blood Rock sect for a period of time. Then we'll take our leave. Wind Snow Gongzi cupped his fists at the Bloodstone sect leader and left with Yi Xian. The surrounding thousands of disciples watched enviously as Yi Xian left. Yang Zhen also endured the pain as he looked at Yi Xian's back and said in his heart, "I will not let you off." The Wind Snow Villa was a force that was a level stronger than the Blood Rock sect. In the eyes of outsiders, Yi Xian would have a meteoric rise in the future since he knew young Master Wind Snow. In fact, even Yi Xian did not expect that he would be able to succeed today. This was really a close call. If young Master Wind Snow had arrived a little later, he would have been crushed to pieces. It's a pity that I can't kill or control Yang Zhen. Yi Xian was very helpless. He was also secretly blaming himself. If he had used that devouring point to advance his bloodline, then he would have been able to kill Yang Zhen. Unfortunately, it was too late now. Although Yang Zhen's cultivation was crippled, her mental strength was still much stronger than Yi Xian's. Moreover, young Master Wind Snow did not specifically ask for her death, so Yi Xian could not take advantage of her. The time limit of this random mission was 1 day, but it was estimated that he could not complete it now, so Yi Xian could only choose to give up. Yi Xian followed young Master Wind Snow and left. Now young Master Wind Snow was more and more satisfied with Yi Xian. He was only at the 6th layer of human body disaster, yet he was able to seriously injure a true energy disaster expert. If he was nurtured in the future, he would definitely be able to strengthen the Wind Snow Villa. After leaving the Blood Rock sect, young Master Wind Snow suddenly thought of something and immediately asked, "Oh right, Yi Xian, didn't you say that you have a younger sister?" "Oh, I told her to wait at the small town at the foot of the mountain. I'll go pick her up first." After Yi Xian finished speaking, he quickly rushed out. Young Master Wind Snow and the other 5 people waited there. After a while, Yi Xian brought Luo Luo over. Fox Clan? Young Master Wind Snow was slightly surprised. He thought that she was Yi Xian's younger sister. After Luo Luo approached, she smiled sweetly and said, "Greetings, Brother Wuhan." Good. Feng Wuhan had a good impression of this little girl in front of him. Moreover, Luo Luo looked young, yet she had already reached the 2nd layer of human body disaster. She was about the same as the disciples of Wind Snow Villa. Wind Snow Villa was not a sect. If outsiders wanted to enter Wind Snow Villa, they had to be at least at the 6th layer of human body disaster. However, there was no age limit like the Blood Rock sect. After that, Yi Xian and Luo Luo followed young Master Wind Snow and headed to Wind Snow Villa. However, the journey was not so peaceful. Previously, on the way here there were some people sneaking around. I'm afraid that they were spies from Blazing Fire Villa. If we go back the way we came, I'm afraid that we will be ambushed. Young Master Wind Snow reminded. Yi Xian already knew about the grudge between Wind Snow Villa and Blazing Fire Villa. The two families were locked in a fierce battle and would be ruthless whenever they had the chance. Then should we take a detour? Luo Luo blinked her big eyes and said, "No need. I have a snow wind tablet on me. Even if more people come from Blazing Fire Villa, it won't help." Feng Wuhan said confidently. If the other party really came, then it was worth it to exchange a Blazing Fire tablet for a large number of experts from Blazing Fire Villa. Since Yi Xian had already agreed to join Wind Snow Villa, then he would fight for Wind Snow Villa. As long as Blazing Fire Villa dared to come, he would naturally take action. However, apart from him and Luo Luo, everyone present had true energy disaster. Moreover, he had already used 10,000 swords returned to origin. This time he was afraid that he would not be able to help. With the snow wind tablet, Feng Wuhan was not afraid of anyone at all. Therefore he went back the way he came. Along the way they encountered many people by chance. They should be the spies from Blazing Fire Villa. The people from Wind Snow Villa never killed people to steal treasures. Therefore they chose to ignore them. To everyone's surprise, Blazing Fire Villa did not make a move this time. They actually returned to Wind Snow Villa safe and sound. Wind Snow Villa was built on top of a snowy mountain. The temperature of this snowy mountain was extremely low. When ordinary people climbed up, their true energy circulation speed would be greatly reduced. However, the people from Wind Snow Villa lived in this place since they were young. Moreover, they also cultivated wind snow technique. Therefore the temperature did not affect them. Chapter 976. Yi Xian Luoluo, come with me to see my father. Feng Wuhan said to Yi Xian and Luoluo after returning to the Windy Snow Villa. Okay. Yi Xian nodded. Feng Wuhan's father was the villa master of the Windy Snow Villa. Feng Wuhan was bringing Yi Xian to ask his father to make arrangements for Yi Xian. Along the way Yi Xian, Luoluo attracted the attention of many people, most of whom were young girls. Young Master Wind Snow was elegant and noble, but he was the Prince Charming in their hearts. There were countless girls in the Windy Snow Villa who wanted to marry him. Of course there were also people who were interested in Yi Xian and Luoluo. Those who could be led by young Master Wind Snow must have some ability. Soon, Feng Wuhan brought Yi Xian to a residence at the peak of the Windy Snow Mountain. Father. Feng Wuhan shouted respectfully outside the door. Come in. A man's voice came from inside. At this time Yi Xian already felt that there were two people inside. Their strength was probably far beyond the sect master of the Blood Rock sect. Feng Wuhan walked in with Yi Xian. The two people inside were a middle-aged man and a white-haired old woman. They were both wearing snow-white clothes. Wuhan greets grandmother, father. Feng Wuhan hurriedly bowed. Yi Xian and Luoluo were startled and hurriedly bowed as well. They didn't expect this white-haired old woman to be Feng Wuhan's grandmother. It was said that this old woman was the strongest person in the Windy Snow Villa, Shuihong. It was rumored that the Windy Snow Villa was built by Shuihong and Feng Wuhan's grandfather and was named after their surnames. However, Feng Wuhan's grandfather had already passed away. Wuhan, this little brother is Yi Xian who saved your life, right? Feng Wuhan's father, Feng Wenyao, looked at Yi Xian. Yes. Feng Wuhan nodded and immediately told them what happened in the Blood Rock sect that day. After hearing this, Feng Wenyao and the old woman were shocked. A 6th-grade human body disaster seriously injured a 1st-grade vital energy disaster elder of the Blood Rock sect? Good. Little brother Ye's aptitude is amazing. From now on you will live in the Windy Snow Villa, Feng Wenyao said directly. In the past few days that they'd been at the Wind Snow Villa, Feng Wuhan had told Yi Xian some things about the Wind Snow Villa. The Wind Snow Villa was divided into 6 large and small villas in order of importance. As for the first villa, it was naturally the most important one in the Wind Snow Villa. This was enough to show how much Feng Wenyao valued Yi Xian. Thank you, Villa Lord. Yi Xian hurriedly said. Who is this girl is? It's Yi Xian's sister Luoluo. Feng Wuhan replied. Come to me. Xianxia was. Grandma. When Luoluo heard this, she was stunned for a moment. Then she strode forward and said softly, Greetings, Grandma. Good, you look so exquisite. Shuihong was very satisfied with Luoluo. She glanced at Feng Wenyao and said, You will live in the Windy Snow Villa too. Thank you, Grandma. Luoluo smiled sweetly. Shuihong was the founder of the Windy Snow Villa, but she only had 3 sons. Moreover, these 3 sons only had grandchildren. She didn't have any granddaughters. Therefore she was very fond of young girls. The women who entered the Windy Snow Villa were no worse than men. Because of this, many female experts came out of the Windy Snow Villa. Some even joined the 10,000 Flower Valley, which was more powerful than the Windy Snow Villa. Here, these are for you. At this time, Shuihong suddenly took out a jade bottle from her universe ring and handed it to Luoluo, saying, This is the snowflake pellet refined by my Wind Snow Villa. When you finish refining all of the snowflake pellets in this bottle, you should be able to break through to 9th grade human body disaster. Luoluo and Yi Xian's eyes lit up. A bottle of pills could help Luoluo break through to the 9th grade human body disaster. The Windy Snow Villa was really generous. Thank you, Grandma. Luoluo hurriedly thanked. During this time, she had been depressed that the distance between her and Yi Xian was widening. Now she could finally catch up. Also, Yi Xian, I heard from Wuhan that you need brilliant gold Oregon. I just happen to have half of it here. Take it. After Shui Hong finished speaking, she threw a golden ore in front of Yi Xian. This half of brilliant gold ore was much more precious than the bottle of snowflake pills in Luo Luo's hand. At the same time, it was also necessary for Yi Xian to open the Eye of Glory. For the Heavenly Eye clan bloodline, one needed to open a Heavenly Eye. Of course, these Heavenly Eyes didn't only need one thing. For example, there were several ways to open the Eye of Revelation. In short, brilliant gold ore could open the glorious bloodline. Yi Xian hurriedly thanked. This was also one of the reasons why he joined the Windy Snow Villa. If he had already opened the glorious bloodline in the Blood Rock sect that day, then Yang Zhen would have been killed by him. Alright, you two go and adapt to the new environment first. Shui Hong said to Yi Xian and Luo Luo. Yes. Then Feng Wuhan left with Yi Xian and Luo Luo. This time the Windy Snow Villa had made a big profit. Wuhan has a good eye. Not to mention that kid's amazing talent, even that little girl is not simple. After Yi Xian and Luo Luo left, Shui Hong said indifferently. Mother, what's so special about that little girl? Feng Wenyao asked in astonishment. He was surprised that Shui Hong took out such a precious snowflake pill. He didn't know what medicine was in Shui Hong's gourd. Even if a girl with great talent entered the Windy Snow Villa, she would at most be given a snowflake pill. However, Luo Luo received a whole bottle. I don't know what kind of bloodline she has, but when she got close to me the ice bloodline in my body trembled. Shui Hong pretended to be calm, but in fact she was also very shocked. That means that little girl's bloodline is above yours? Feng Wenyao asked in astonishment. He knew what the ice bloodline in his mother's body was. It was born after Shui Hong consumed a heavenly treasure when she was young. It was also because of this bloodline that Shui Hong was much stronger than people of the same level. Yes, I guess Wuhan doesn't know. Anyway, you just have to focus on nurturing him. It's a pity that my ice bloodline can't be passed down. Otherwise, the Windy Snow Villa would be more powerful than it is now. Shui Hong sighed repeatedly. Although Yi Xian had left, he who had the eye of perception, heard the conversation between Shui Hong and Feng Wenyao. I didn't expect the old manor head to have such a bloodline. This is rare. Yi Xian was surprised when he heard this, but he didn't think too much about it. This was because his attention was attracted by the dazzling gold ore. Chapter 977. The Eye of Glory is finally about to open. Yi Xian's eyes glowed. This was the Heavenly Eye bloodline of the Heavenly Eye clan, an extremely powerful battle Heavenly Eye. If he wanted to open the Eye of Glory, his Jinchi would turn golden, and he would gain a few more powerful skills. Ding. Not enough dazzling gold ore. The Eye of Glory is at 30%. After hearing the notification, Yi Xian suspected that he had misheard. The Eye of Glory was only at 30%? At this time he suddenly remembered that the dazzling gold ore that Shui Hong had given him was only half a piece. Damn, how can you cheat me like this? Yi Xian wanted to cry but no tears came out. It seemed that he still needed a whole dazzling gold ore to fully open the Eye of Glory. However, although the Eye of Glory was only at 30%, he could still use it. He just didn't have those powerful skills. Forget it, it's already not bad to be able to partially open the Eye of Glory. When I transform into the Golden War God, my strength will be much stronger than now. Yi Xian sighed. Then Feng Wuhan brought Yi Xian and Luo Luo to their new residence. Yi Xian, Luo Luo, you two can live here and get used to the environment first. Also, the first manor has places like the martial arts pavilion, you can enter as you please. Feng Wuhan said directly. Thank you very much. Yi Xian thanked him. Although it was a pity that the Eye of Glory couldn't be fully opened for the time being, he had learned a new powerful martial art, the dragon capturing hand of the Blood Rock sect master. If he wanted to repair the dragon capturing hand, he would need a large number of martial arts. If the quality was high, he would need less. Feng Wuhan nodded with a smile. Just as he was about to turn around, he remembered something and said, "Oh right, there's a middle-grade sword-shaped stone in the first manor's maple snow pillar? Middle-grade sword-shaped stone?" Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Low-grade sword-shaped stone corresponded to minute-level sword forms, while middle-grade sword-shaped stone corresponded to perfect-level sword forms. He had already comprehended minute-level sword forms. Even if he didn't use his other trump cards, his attack power was no weaker than a 9th-layer mortal body disaster. If he had comprehended the perfect-level sword force, even a true energy disaster expert would have to temporarily avoid him. Feng Wuhan left immediately. Before he left his address so that Yi Xian could find him. "Young master, I'll go and refine the snowflake pill first." After Feng Wuhan left, Luo Luo jumped into her room. Previously, Shuehong had said that if this bottle of snowflake pills was completely refined by Luoluo, Luoluo would at least reach the 9th level of human body disaster. However, one should not forget that Luoluo possessed a mysterious bloodline and a charm fusion crystal. In addition to the beast god's bloodline increasing her growth speed, she might be able to directly break through to true energy disaster. Therefore Yi Xian had to work hard. Go ahead. Yi Xian nodded and quickly left. The first step was to record the sword-shaped stone. The climate of the Snow Wind Villa was quite harsh. Ordinary people would need a long time to adapt to the environment, until they succeeded in cultivating the Snow Wind technique. Being in the Snow Wind Mountain made Yi Xian feel very uncomfortable. After all, it was too cold here. After walking out of the courtyard, he used the Eye of Revelation to scan the surroundings. In the end, he saw a pillar in the distance. This pillar was surrounded by many people. It seemed to be the Snow Wind pillar that Feng Wuhan had mentioned. Of course, what made Yi Xian certain was that this Snow Wind pillar was inlaid with a mid-grade sword-shaped stone. He could see these things with spiritual energy at a glance. At that moment he quickly rushed over. There were nearly 100 people around the Snow Wind pillar. Among these people, most of them were at the 8th or 9th level of human body disaster. There were even experts at true energy disaster. From this, it could be seen that the Snow Wind Villa was much stronger than the Blood Rock sect. The Blood Rock sect had several hundred inner disciples, but there were probably less than 20 who had comprehended the sword force. At this time, the people around the Snow Wind pillar had all comprehended the subtle level sword force. Therefore, they came to comprehend the perfect level sword force. Ding. Discovered mid-grade sword-shaped stone. Do you want to record it? The system prompted. Yes. Ding. Starting record of mid-grade sword-shaped stone. Current progress is 1%. Ding. Starting record of mid-grade sword-shaped stone. Current progress is 2%. Ding. Starting record of mid-grade sword-shaped stone. Current progress is 3%. The process of recording mid-grade sword-shaped stone was very slow, so Yi Xian could only wait quietly. I can still exchange for mid-grade sword comprehension pills, but I don't have enough super devouring crystals. Yi Xian took the opportunity to take a look, but then shook his head helplessly. He could exchange for sword comprehension pills with devouring points, but devouring points were too precious. Therefore Yi Xian would not exchange them for sword comprehension pills, even if he had 10 of them. After a long while, Yi Xian finally heard a notification sound. Ding. Recording mid-grade sword-shaped stone completed. Now he had the mid-grade sword-shaped stone. Although he still had other things to do, his second clone, who was far away in the eastern continent, had a lot of free time. He could meditate 24 hours a day. After recording the mid-grade sword-shaped stone, Yi Xian quickly left for the martial arts pavilion. Previously, when Yi Xian was in the Blood Rock sect, he had also gone to the martial arts pavilion, but the martial arts there were inferior. Now he seemed to have a high status in the Snow Wind Villa, so he should be able to copy many martial arts to the devouring system. I've copied all the martial arts in the Snow Wind Villa. I wonder if I can repair the dragon catcher hands. Yi Xian thought as he walked into the martial arts pavilion. The martial arts pavilion in the Snow Wind Villa only had 2 floors. The first floor was for lower-grade transcendent martial arts, and the second floor was for mid-grade martial arts. Kid, you must be the new genius that Wu Hen brought in, right? An amiable old man suddenly appeared beside Yi Xian. The latter was shocked. He felt that this old man was still far away, but now he suddenly appeared. He was afraid that this old man's strength was not ordinary. Greetings, senior. Yi Xian quickly clasped his fist. This is the Snow Wind Pill. Only those who have refined the Snow Wind Pill can learn the Snow Wind technique of the Snow Wind Villa. The old man smiled as he handed over a pill. Thank you, senior. Yi Xian took the pill and swallowed it. In the Snow Wind Villa, the Snow Wind technique was the most powerful martial arts. It was very good among the mid-grade transcendent martial arts. Therefore, the Snow Wind Villa changed the Snow Wind technique so that only those who had refined the Snow Wind Pill could learn it. Even if others obtained the Snow Wind technique, they would need the Snow Wind Pill. Very good. This Snow Wind Pill will be refined in about a day. You can look around the martial arts in the martial arts pavilion. If you need anything, you can find me. Chapter 978. Windy Snow Villa was very generous and took out all the martial arts. Even those who had just entered Windy Snow Villa could go to the first floor at will. Of course, only those with high status could go to the second floor. Yi Xian did not say anything and went straight to the bookshelves. There were probably thousands of low-grade transcendent supreme martial arts on the first floor. That was a huge number. Ding. Copying begins. Ding. Copying begins. Ding. Copying begins. Yi Xian went over and copied down these martial arts one by one. As for his actions, they fell into the eyes of the old man from before. Is he looking for a martial art that suits him? The old man thought to himself. Yi Xian flipped through a book very quickly, which was why he thought so. A high-grade martial art might not be stronger than a martial art that suits him, because a martial art that suits him would be faster to learn and easier to use. In just a few minutes, Yi Xian went through the entire first floor of the bookshelves and copied a total of more than 1,300 low-grade Transcendent Supreme martial arts. However, what surprised him was that only 5% of the 1,300 low-grade Transcendent Supreme martial arts were restored. Now, the Dragon Catcher Hands was only 10% complete. Damn, I've absorbed so many martial arts essences and only managed to restore 5%. Could it be that the Dragon Catcher Hands is a low-grade Transcendent Supreme martial art? Or is it a superpower? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. Low-grade Transcendent Supreme martial arts were not very attractive to him, but if the Dragon Catcher Hands was a superpower, then it would be a huge gain. Superpowers were at the level of the manifestation realm. They were at least 10 times or even 100 times better than low-grade Transcendent Supreme martial arts. Yi Xian, who was excited, went to the second floor again. He did not immediately look for the snow wind technique but continued to copy one book after another. There were only more than 30 low-grade Transcendent Supreme martial arts on the second floor of the martial arts pavilion, and one of them was the snow wind technique. Yi Xian copied all of them. Ding. The Dragon Catcher Hands is 15% complete. The system reminded him again. Damn, it's still only 5% complete. Yi Xian looked a little helpless. However, he did not use the Snow Breeze technique to repair the Dragon Catcher Hand. After all, if he used it to repair the Dragon Catcher Hand, he could not use the Super Engulfing Crystal to learn the Snow Breeze technique directly. He had to learn it himself. Ding. Host has learned the Snow Wind tactics. The Snow Wind technique was divided into the Snow Wind Sword technique and the Snow Wind Movement technique. This was something that Yi Xian already knew. At the same time, after cultivating the Snow Wind technique, he was more or less immune to the harsh climate around him. Now, he had completed the intermediate sword-shaped stone inscription. The completion rate of Dragon Catcher Hands had also reached level 15, and he had also learned Snow Wind technique. In that case, it was time for Yi Xian to raise his cultivation level. I heard that behind the Snow Wind Mountain is the 10,000 Snowy Mountain. Let's go there to hunt and level up. With that thought in mind, Yi Xian quickly dashed out. However, before he could take a few steps, Luolua's cry of surprise rang out. Young master, I've broken through to the third stage of human body disaster. What? So fast? Yi Xian was shocked. The value of this snow wind pill is too high. I reckon that I can at least break through to true energy disaster, Luolua replied. It seems that I have to work hard. Otherwise, I'll be surpassed by you again. Yi Xian smiled indifferently. He left the Snow Wind Mountain Manor and entered the 10,000 Snowy Mountain. The 10,000 Snowy Mountain was filled with transcending supreme beings, sacred beasts, such as Snow Wind Ape, Snow Wind Eagle, Frost Python, and so on. In any case, these were all Yi Xian's targets. The deeper one goes into the 10,000 Snowy Mountain, the higher the level of the transcending supreme being, sacred beast. With my current strength, it shouldn't be a problem for me to deal with true energy disaster. Yi Xian thought inwardly. Previously, he had used all kinds of trump cards to trap Yangzhen in the spiritual sword array. If he had used the last bit of devouring points to upgrade his bloodline, Yangzhen would have died. Unfortunately, he couldn't bear to do so, so he didn't complete the random mission. After entering the 10,000 Snowy Mountain, Yi Xian checked the mission system. Every time he entered a place, the missions of that place would be prioritized. At this time, the missions that entered his eyes were all missions to kill monsters in the 10,000 Snowy Mountain or to search for heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Kill the first-grade true energy disaster Snow Eagle. Reward, 1 ice vein fruit. Kill the first-grade true energy disaster Frost Python. Reward, 1 heavenly ice grass. Kill the first-grade true energy disaster Snow Mountain Ape. Reward, 1 blue serene flower. The rewards of these missions were very good. Yi Xian accepted these missions. After all, the amount of super devouring crystals required to accept a mission was not a lot. Moreover, there was no time limit. If he happened to encounter a mission, then it would be an additional income. After entering the 10,000 Snowy Mountain, Yi Xian went in a straight line. He only attacked when he encountered a living creature. The level of the transcending supreme being's sacred beasts outside was very low. Even if he killed 100 of them, it wouldn't be comparable to one in the depths. After running for about half a day, he finally entered the danger zone. This was a place where transcending supreme beings, sacred beasts of true energy disaster would appear. Come, let me meet a transcending supreme being, sacred beast, Yi Xian muttered in his heart. Ever since he half-opened the Eye of Glory, his fighting spirit had been constantly rising. However, he had no opponents. As long as he met a transcending supreme being, sacred beast, then he would open the Eye of Glory and see how powerful it was. He wandered around the 10,000 snowy mountain. Relying on the eye of perception, he could clearly sense every movement in his surroundings. Found it. Suddenly his eyes lit up. Within the range of his perception, there was a huge figure moving around. This huge figure was comparable to a bloodstone giant. It was dozens of meters tall. Every time it lifted its foot, it would cause the earth to shake. A first-grade true energy disaster frost giant? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. It seemed that he had found his target. Immediately he approached the frost giant. This frost giant's defense was very strong. Its ice crystal defense was not something an ordinary person could break through. Even a 9th-grade human body disaster expert might not be able to do so. Yi Xian held the heaven-shaking sword and quickly ran toward it. When he got close, his eyes suddenly released 2 golden rays of light. Eye of Glory. In the next moment his eyes turned golden. Not only that, even his hair turned from black to gold in an instant. Golden true energy revolved around Yi Xian, making him look like a golden god of war. Golden true energy, let's see how strong it is. Yi Xian raised his hand and swung his sword, causing a golden sword chi to sweep out. Ice Snow Sword Technique, Ice Snow Strike. The Eye of Glory could turn true energy into a golden color. It was a bit like the metal attribute attack in the Void God realm. However, this attack was at least 10,000 times stronger than the one in the Void God realm. Not only that, the original Ice Snow Strike was a light blue color, but it was covered up by the Eye of Glory. Xiao.